9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You live, baby.
Hello and welcome. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk, sitting in for Pat for the second day in a row. Who knows? I think Pat is in Pittsburgh or somewhere getting his suit or tux fitted for him. He's got a big wedding coming up August 1st, this coming Saturday. Today is Wednesday, July 29th. I think we're going to have some great guests today. We have a 1040 old Jet Passon, our MLB baseball insider. Very, I guess it's going to be interesting conversation with Jet. He'll probably be upset that Pat is not here hosting it. It's myself doing this. And then at 11:30, Jay Glazer, Fox NFL Sunday. Everyone knows Jay Glazer. And at 10:15, there's going to be a surprise call-in. And I don't know if anyone is even halfway engaged and a fan of Pat and everything that he and the boys do. I would assume they could see by that silhouette on that graphic. I would hope they could figure out who the hell that guy is. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's pretty obvious there.
Was the surprise guest call-in, is that something I was supposed to know about, or am I not supposed to mention who it is?
I'm not sure. I was under the impression that you knew who it was.
I do know, but when you put this silhouette of a picture of the person on there and it says surprise guest, I'm like, oh, is there something I should not be telling people? Telling the
Backs
viewers?
out.
And if they have half a brain, they could figure that one out.
That's just in case he backs out, just in case anything pops up.
You're right. Very, very busy man. We know that. But at 10:15, 10:30-ish, 10:15, 10:20, who knows? Mr. Pat McAfee is supposed to call in and give us an update on what it's like out there on the road and see what he's doing. And I'm sure he's checking in on the show. He's still upset at me. He sent me a text yesterday during the show and after the show. I'm very upset that I didn't apologize for calling him a baby on the show, on one of the previous shows, when I think he just needs to figure it out. I didn't really mean he's a baby. I was just trying to tell him, like, hey, lighten up. You handled the incident with Adam Cole like a mature adult. And I feel like he's handling the aftermath. He's getting all upset about it now for some reason. But either way, we'll get into that later. But why don't we go into the room and welcome the boys into the show and see what they have going on, man. And Connor, I want to start with you first, though. How are you feeling after all our Patriots talk yesterday and everything that has happened over the last 12 hours, I'd say?
I'm feeling fantastic. Jay, thank you for unmuting my mic. I've tabled my expectations a little with some of the clowny talk, because I did build it up as if we were for sure 1,000% going to have him in a Pats uniform today. So I've tabled that just a little bit. We're still winning the Super Bowl, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking more Everson Griffin, maybe Logan Ryan. I'm not as set on the clowny pickup.
Okay, well, Everson Griffin, I mean, that's a guy that I believe yesterday or the day before, there was some rumors out there that the Packers were kind of kicking the tires and interested in possibly bringing him in. I think he'd be huge for the Packers. Why not? Yeah. That dude, I think, can still play at a very high level. I would bring him in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
AJ, but bringing Everson Griffin in for the Packers, that would mean that they were trying to help the team win, and that just doesn't seem like something that they're willing to do lately.
You don't think they're trying to win right now? What are they trying to do there?
Sure doesn't seem like
They're
it.
trying to push Rodgers out of town. What do you mean, what are they trying to do?
I mean, their weapon that they brought in this year opted out yesterday, so that's not good probably.
That does hurt a little bit. Devin Funchess opted out yesterday for this season due to COVID. It is tough when he's their free agent acquisition in the wide receiver room, and then they didn't draft any receivers, and then the one guy that you did pick up to add to your roster, which you definitely needed some depth at the receiver position, he ends up opting out. I don't blame him for that. I don't know what his personal situation is like, but man, it's just they got to find some weapons, don't they? Like what? Devontae Adams, hey buddy, strap it up. You've been doing it for a long time. You've been an absolute stud, who I think is very underappreciated. But man, more and more being thrown on him, and teams are definitely going to be able to roll a safety over top of him. They're going to double him as much as they want. They just need a couple other receivers there in Green Bay, I guess, to establish themselves as somebody that's a threat to the defense.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not that upset that he opted out. One, like you said, AJ, you don't know what he's going through. And if Devin Funchess was supposed to be the saving grace for the Packers this year, then, they're in trouble. So, I mean, they need other guys to step up. Alan Lazard's going to have a big year again. But, yeah, I mean, it's the same old story. They didn't do anything to prepare, and then something like this happens, and then now they're just even more so behind the eight ball. And it's tough when you look at, Seattle. They're trading for, Jamal Adams and stuff like that. It's a pretty somber day, not great.
did you guys happen to see the podcast that Kyle Brandt does with Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
No?
we saw it. Great podcast. Love to see it. It's just we're bummed for Rodgers. He doesn't deserve this.
Yeah, it was funny. What his background, he had like the solar system or something behind him, I think, from his Zoom call and his headphones on. But yeah, here is his whole quote. I don't know if we want to sit here and read it out, but it basically he mentions all of the receivers that were around they could possibly pick up, who got drafted in the first round, who was still available. And then he talks about how he went and poured himself a big a four-fingered glass of scotch or tequila. Was that tequila?
Tequila. Yeah, tequila.
Yeah, he drank that, and it wasn't because. And I think a lot of people should be able to relate to this. Obviously, it's tough to relate to a guy like Aaron Rodgers. He's one of the greatest ever and makes hundreds of millions of dollars. But I think his thoughts on this, at least, he didn't come out and specifically say it. But he's like, yeah, I went and poured myself a big old glass of tequila and drank it down just because I knew I would be getting so many texts and calls from people. Oh, you okay? You all right, buddy? What's going on over there? How are you? And I get it, man. It's true. Like when you get cut in the league, you know how many texts you get from family members and friends that you haven't heard from in a while? Like, how you doing, bud? Are you okay? Let me know if I can bring over some muffins to cheer you up. I'm like, hey, man, sure, I'm disappointed. Nobody's dead. I'm still alive. My family's still alive. Yeah, let's try to either go find another team to play for or hang it up. But, man, don't be reaching out to me and acting with this sad face and stuff. And I understand it. That's what Aaron was going to have to deal with on draft night for the first round shortly after he came on the show with Pat and myself.
AJ, were you surprised at how I was a little bit about how much Aaron actually knew about the wide receivers in the draft? Or do you think he is that big of a college football fan, or he was just that excited to potentially get a wide receiver since it was one of the deepest wide receiver drafts that we've had in a while? Were you surprised by that?
I wasn't surprised, no, because that's the thing. Aaron has unbelievable recall. Like, he could tell you mention a game to him, I guarantee you he can take you through tons of plays and what the defense was doing, and he can go over, like, he'll tell you about different players that are played at all different levels, high school, college, NFL. And I think he's just a huge sports fan, not just football. He's a sports fan in general. So he definitely is aware of all the top players that are coming out of college every single year. I think just because he's a fan, he likes watching sports, he likes watching football. So I wasn't surprised to hear him talk about the different receivers, and he seemed very excited to possibly get one of them, and they ended up with none of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess how do you think the Packers front office is going to view that interview he did with Kyle Brandt?
I mean, who cares? You know, he should be able to say what he wants to, and I don't think he said anything too crazy. You know, it's stuff that's been reported and said since the night of the draft. But AJ, with you being playing for the Packers for so long, like, they obviously need to do something to shore up the depth in the receiver room, but they're not typically the kind of team that goes after these guys that have been, like, suspended. So what do you think that they'll do? I mean, there's like 5 guys out there that, you know, are still like pretty high market free agents, but I just don't see the Packers going after them because they have some sort of like off the field issues previously.
Terrell Owens.
T.O. You can get T.O. for cheap, can't you?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know, because it's a little different regime now. I mean, during my time there, I was drafted by Ted Thompson. He's not there, at least running the day-to-day anymore. Old Goody is the GM running the show, and Mark Murphy's the president, kind of overseeing everything, I think, and kind of pulling the trigger on things. So I wouldn't be shocked if they went out and tried to find some help, and if it was some guys that possibly had a checkered past or had some issues, they'd do their homework on them. But I mean, they want to win. They do, and if they can find somebody they trust that they feel like they could bring in and would be a good addition, I don't know why they wouldn't. I'm not sure how Gutekunst feels about that, and the rest of them, about bringing in guys that do have a little bit of some past issues with their team or off the field. I don't know. I think they got to do something, don't you? Like, do you think they can just sit here with their roster set right now and feel really good about going into this season?
No. I mean, defensively, especially you get a couple pieces here and there, but like, they didn't do anything to get to the 49ers level, and then you look at Seattle, who's getting better. Like, they either stayed the same or took a step back this offseason.
Tampa.
AJ.
What's up?
I mean, you were a top 5 draft pick. How wealthy do you have to be where you start sipping on tequila. Like I know, Aaron does it. The Rock does it. Other wealthy human beings do it. How expensive is the expensive tequila where you can just sip on it?
I don't know. I don't know much about tequila, man. I really don't. I know what isn't the Casamigos, the George Clooney, Randy Gerber tequila. That's pretty big. And then what is Añejo? Is that what? Did they make that as well?
Yeah, all those people are very wealthy. I'm just saying, I've never once tasted tequila in my life where I was like, that'd be nice to sip on for a couple
I would
hours.
say to be able to sip on tequila, you have to have at least $100 million in not like $100 million contract. You have to have $100 million in the bank that you could get to. Not like tied up into real estate, not tied up into buildings or whatever. No, 100 in the bank that I can go grab right now. Then you can start sipping on tequila and you can start enjoying it. Because I have no idea how people do it. I wish I could. I can't, man. Tequila just not my thing. For some people it is. Some people love it and they just drink it straight up. And that just, I don't know. Do any of you guys, any of you guys, I guess, tough enough to do that?
Absolutely not. Great to know that we will never be sipping on tequila, AJ. But you mentioned family members and people Aaron Rodgers hasn't talked to reaching out. Would you, if you were a teammate, or when you were a teammate with Rodgers, rather, would you reach out to him like, hey, man, like I know Jordan Love happened, but you're Aaron freaking Rodgers. You can do this.
Yeah, but that might make him even more upset because he's like, yeah, I know, bro. I know, idiot. Like, I know how good I am. I know what I can do. He wouldn't say that back, but he would be thinking that, no question. I did text him after they drafted Jordan Love. If you remember, we're doing our draft night spectacular show or whatever. Aaron comes on. He was scheduled to come back on. He's texted me throughout saying he wants to come back on, and then they trade up. They take Jordan Love, and I was like, oh, man. And I remember I eventually just sent a text, hey, man, don't worry about calling back. That's all I said. And then I talked to him a few days later, actually on the phone. But yeah, it's I knew what it would be like in his situation. And luckily for him, where he is living, he doesn't get great cell phone service, so he probably got sheltered from some of it. But yeah, man, it's a weird thing. It's more about dealing. It's not even like dealing with what it feels like for something like that to happen. Like I talked about earlier, if you're getting cut or whatever, it's more dealing with how everyone around you reacts when there's no real, it's uncomfortable on both sides. Like you want them just to act normal. They want to try to make it seem like it's normal, but they want to let you know they support you and they understand, when best case is just I don't know, maybe keep it short, keep it simple. Hey man, who cares? You're Aaron Rodgers. That's all you got to say.
So like for the Packers wide receiver group, besides Devontae Adams, who like they're hearing this stuff like where they need wide receivers and stuff like that, and they're hearing Aaron say this. Have you ever been on a team where it was known like a certain position group was the worst group on the team, or were you ever on that, or was the linebackers ever the worst position group on the team, and like how are they treated in the locker room?
Man, I don't know. I hope not. I hope I wasn't a part of the worst position group on the team. That's not something I think that is really, at least on teams I've been on, is talked about a whole lot. Like, hey man, everyone's doing their job, but this tight end group's got to get it together, man. They just suck. Like I haven't seen that, but it's definitely individual players, if they're underachieving or playing really well in practice, but they don't show up in games. That's something that might get addressed. Not maybe a vet will take them to the side during practice or during some downtime and let them know, hey man, like this isn't who you are. We need you to be more. And coaches can try all they want, but I think players, if it's player to player, you might get mad at first, but then you'll calm down and hopefully it'll change the direction, I guess, that you're headed. But hey, Zeke, everybody, I think I want to take a quick break right now because we might have that special guest calling in here shortly. I want to make sure we knock out one of these breaks because we got special guests coming and then jet passing at 10:40. So everyone stay around. We'll have a special caller here on the other side of this break. I'm AJ Hawk. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Come on back.
I was told by Del Curry, Scottie Pippen struggles on a golf course, right?
Right.
I was told at that thing that I'm going against Scottie Pippen the next day, match play, heads up, one-on-one Scottie Pippen. So we decide, like, okay, we could probably have a couple drinks, stay at the casino a little bit longer than we should.
Representing the NFL out of the Shoeless Golf Club of America, Pat McAfee. His opponent, representing the NBA, Scottie Pippen.
You know what I mean? This guy's got 6 rings. Yeah. He's a fucking Hall of Famer. But today he's going to play against me. And then I start seeing Scottie hit some shots that are just like starting to come together. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I think I was lied to.
We were lied to yesterday. We were told Scottie Pippen was a terrible golfer. Bro, he's Scottie fucking Pippen.
Going in the back 9, I think I was down 1. Like, we were battling. But I started making putts. And Scottie Pippen went ahead and got real hot. I mean, real fucking hot. I was down 3 with 7 left. And I looked right in the camera, and I go,
We're down 3 with like 7 holes left. Scottie Pippen's about to get this work.
Scottie Pippen from 190 yards out just fucking dunks it. Fucking boom, bang, and then walks up to the green, gets the ball, cameras on him, and he goes, Pippen ain't easy. Kidding me?
All right, down 4 with 6 left after Scottie Pippen just chips him from fucking 400 yards out.
I was fucking demoralized.
Pippen ain't easy.
By the way, best he's ever performed at golf, because I'm around, better teammate than Jordan.
Yep.
People forget. Oh, yeah, I told Dell, I was like, Dell, what the fuck you lying to me? He was like, well, I saw it yesterday. He was not great. And Greg Anthony told me, and I was like, Dell, he buried me, Del Curry. He buried me. He was like, hey, Pippen ain't easy.
Yes, baby, it's time to celebrate.
Talking about a shotgun of beer after he had beat me, obviously. I like teach him how to do it.
Yeah, put a hole in there. It might spread a little bit, so.
Yeah, yes. You're going to go here, and then you're going to open and flip up. Does that make sense? Congrats on winning the NBA a couple times, blah, 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 blah. And being an incredible golfer. Thanks, Paul. Cheers. Appreciate it. Hey. 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 Hey.
Damn.
Okay,
That's the
Scotty.
best Bud Light I ever had.
Hey, there's no Caucasian here.
You right.
Three, two, one. You're live.
All right, welcome back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawks sitting in for Pat today as he is all over the country getting fitted for his tux and suit, whatever he's wearing, at his wedding on Saturday. Congrats again to Pat. But some big news that happened overnight. Joey Bosa signs a gigantic extension for the Chargers, 5 years, $135 million deal. We all know those numbers don't really matter. You want to figure out exactly what the guarantee is. And, man, Joey Bosa, $78 million guaranteed at signing. Ooh. That's awesome right there. 78 fully guaranteed at signing and $102 million guaranteed on the total of $135 million contract. That's awesome for him, man. He's the highest paid guy. This is the biggest defensive contract given out. Which every big star that signs, whatever position they're in, is the biggest contract ever, it seems like. So Joey Bosa gets this right now. Whenever Nick Bosa comes up, is he getting $200 million guaranteed? Is he going to escalate that fast?
Yeah, 'cause there's 3 years too till that contract, right? Or until his rookie contract is up. So by that point, you got to assume Deion's are making what, $25 million a year, maybe?
25 a year?
Well, he's making $27 million a year with this one. So.
Oh wow! So what are they going 35? Sweet.
Were
Jesus.
you joking?
Was that a joke, Connor?
Yeah, I was joking. Yeah, no, I was joking. I know math. I was joking.
Okay, good. You scared me for a second.
I mean, that is so much for a D end, isn't it?
I mean, those are the guys you pay, though. If you can affect the passer, you can rush the passer, you can protect the passer, or you're a lockdown corner. Very, very valuable, man. It really is. And for Joey Bosa, I guess the whole question for him, yeah, we know how great he can be. It's just, can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? How many games is he going to miss? He's been dinged up in college. He's been dinged up in the league. But, man, when that dude is strapped up, he's a stud. You got a game plan around the guy, and you got Ingram on the other side. They complement each other very, very well. So I think for the Chargers, yeah, even though it's a crazy amount of money, if you look like, okay, what's the best D end in the league get paid next year? You're like, hey, we're getting a discount. If you look at Aaron Donald, you say, hey, that guy only got $86.9 million guaranteed in his contract. Okay, well they're thinking we got a deal. We got a steal with this guy Aaron Donald. How great he is. And I know Myles Garrett and Khalil Mack both are right underneath under Bosa now in their contract. I guess in their guaranteed money. What Khalil Mack had $90 million guaranteed. Myles Garrett had $100. So this is just. Wow, yeah, I forgot about DeMarcus Lawrence as well. 5 years, 105. Is that sort of 21 a year? Yeah, it's 27 per year. So how, like, okay, is there an end game with this? Like, is there ever a ceiling where NFL players are going to hit? Or is it just like 10 years from now, what are contracts going to look like? What do you guys think?
They're just going to grow and grow and grow. They might get up to, that $500 million contract might be common for a lot of quarterbacks in 10 years.
I mean, it's also kind of weird because they know that the potential cap, like they're going to be paying. I don't know what his contract looks like next year. It could be lower and then build up just like Mahomes and most of these other contracts did. But they know the cap could be going down $23 million next year, and they're still giving these big contracts, which is a little bit surprising to me. If this COVID thing wasn't going on, yeah, these contracts are just going to keep going up and up and up because the NFL is just made of money. But these contracts during COVID is slightly surprising.
Yeah, I guess it is. Were you guys surprised that they gave him this much? Like, did you think that he would be the highest paid guy in the league in the defensive side of the ball?
No, but I don't think they have some room to play around with, right? Because they don't have to pay a quarterback. They have a rookie. I mean, so they could be trying to go down that, Seattle model where they just give a bunch of money to all these guys on defense and hope that Herbert, within the next 5 years or whatever can at least get him to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, as long as he's healthy, he's good to go. And hell, if Joey Bosa is healthy for, let's say, so out of 16 regular season games during the course of his contract, if he averages playing 12 or 13 regular season games a year over the next 5 years, I feel like the contract is still worth it. Like if he can stay in the lineup that much, what do you guys think?
Yeah, because so his rookie year he was in 11 games and he had 10.5 sacks, and then he started the whole next season he had 12.5, and then he was hurt in 2018 and he only had 5 sacks. But then last year he started all 16 again and had 12 sacks. So like if he's putting up 12 sacks a year, then yeah, that's worth it, I would think.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. But 12.5 I know is the most sacks he's ever had in a year. Some people try to point to that, like, oh, he doesn't have a year where he had 18.5, 19. Okay, if you can put 12.5 sacks a year on there, it's just double-digit sacks every single year. That is so valuable. And if 3 or 4 of those are going to be strip fumbles, and maybe 1 or 2 of them gets picked up and returned for a touchdown, hey, even more valuable to that team. But Zeke, I wanted to ask you. So Pat's going to come on. Sorry for anyone who, if I just spoiled it, that Pat is going to be the surprise caller, I guess. And now at 10:30. Do we need a break before that because we have him and Jet passing back to back?
Probably.
Yeah, I think we should read an ad and then go to break right after. I think we'll be
Let's
set.
do that right now. Whoever's doing the ad read today, take it away.
Well, let me tell you about an ad, AJ. It's Simply Safe.
Hell yeah! Yeah!
Here's the thing about home security companies. Most trap you with high prices, tricky contracts, and lousy customer support. So while there are a lot of options out there, there's only one no-brainer, Simply Safe. It's got everything you need to protect your home with none of the drawbacks of traditional home security. It's got an arsenal of sensors and cameras to blanket every room, window, and door tailored specifically for your home. Professional monitoring keeps watch day and night, ready to send police, fire, or medical professionals if there's an emergency. You can set up yourself in under an hour. Just peel and stick the sensors exactly where you need them. No technician required. And then there's no contract, no pushy sales guys, no hidden fees, no fine print. All this starts at $15 a month.
Jeez.
Now, I'm not the only one who thinks they're great.
No.
U.S. News and World Report named it the best overall home security of 2020. Try SimpliSafe today at simplisafe.com/Pat. You get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. There's nothing to lose. That's simplisafe.com/Pat.
How about Tone? Great job. Great news. Before we go to break, LeBron has decided he's not going zero dark 30-23 this year in the playoffs. He's keeping his phone powered up.
Wow.
This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk. Come right back.
Let me tell you a little story about these statistics. Troy Polamalu, okay? Fucking Troy Polamalu. So we had a fake for the Pittsburgh Steelers that was a 100%er. We didn't even have a cancel the goddamn play because it was a 100%er. If we ever end up in this situation, inside the 7-yard line on the left hash, it is a 100%er that the C gap will be wide open and we will just part the C to the left. It'll be a touchdown. 100%er. We're playing in Pittsburgh, the city I grew up in. I grew up in Pittsburgh. I won the punt, pass, and kick. National championship, AJ. National championship, AJ.
Congrats.
AJ, did you ever win the national championship, punt, pass, and kick?
I think I got 3rd or 4th out of 4 at the Nationals.
I'm proud of you, man. Anyways, so we're there in that stadium, okay? A lot of McAfee's in there. A lot of McAfee's in Pittsburgh. I'm going to score my first fucking touchdown, night game, Sunday Night Football, I believe it was, right here, touchdown. We get into that situation, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is really going to happen. We're like on the 6 on the left hash. It's 4th and goal now. Field goal team's jogging on. I'm like, well, fuck, it's about to. I'm ready. I am ready for this to happen. So I get out there. I get down. Vinny's like happy for me. Vinny's like very excited. He's like, let's fucking go. Like Vinny's excited for me at this moment. I'm like, here we go. So I make the call. I forget what it was. So I start saying it, right? And everybody's looking at me like, okay, bright eyes. Here we go. Let's get after it. Offensive linemen are dead ass tired. They do not want to be in the middle of a field goal anyways. So they're just like, all right, I don't give a fuck if you die here, but this should work. Let's get some points. And all of a sudden, I go through my cadence, I call it, I get down, and Troy Polamalu's fucking ass goes ahead for however long his career was at this point. I think it was like 9 years or 8 years at this point. Not a once has he ever gone to this side of the field over here to the left and stood right in the C gap. Never. He lined up exactly where he had lined in film 100% of the time. And then as soon as I got to like the second cadence right before set, he just bounced his little ass right over to the C gap. And I like stopped everything I was doing and I literally just looked at him. And I gave him like a, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, why are you there right now? And then I stood up and said, we are kicking it. We have to kick it. We are kicking this. And then I get down, and Vinatieri kicks it, and I jog off the field, and Chuck Pagano comes running up next to me. He's like, hey, good job. What you see? I said, what did I see? Polamalu just fucking went right into the goddamn C gap. What did I see? What did I see? And he goes, okay, sounds good. Good call then. And good call then. And then Vinatieri's like, hey, way to go, buddy. I'm like, way to go? Are we not going to talk about how big of a fucking asshole Troy Polamalu is for what just happened right there? So that's.
I saw the angel of death waiting for me in the C gap.
It's unbelievable. What, you thought I was going to run him over? No way. He's probably going to strip me and score a touchdown the other fucking. That's Polamalu, bro. That ain't just your backyard football with your son. These are professional fucking athletes. He'd probably jump over the lineman, pick me up, and run me into the other fucking end zone if he wanted to. That's what he would have done.
The hard-hitting safety of his generation, too. I mean, Ed Reed, great cover safety. I don't know that you would have feared him, but
Ed Reed, I would have feared Ed Reed. Yeah, if I saw Ed Reed in that C gap, absolutely. E.D. Reed, boy, the best safety you ever seen, boy. I ain't doing shit to Ed Reed.
No, Ed Reed would have made the tackle. I'm saying that Polamalu would have shaved years off your life.
Oh, my God.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk sitting in for Pat today. It's been a fun show so far. And Zito, let me know, do we have our mystery caller yet?
Oh, do we ever? Yes, sir.
Special guest here joining his own show. Mr. Patrick McAfee in a plush hotel somewhere, probably upwards of $800 a night, wherever he is. Pat, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
I don't know if there's any hotels that are in Pittsburgh that are worth $800 a night, but things are going well over here. I wish my internet was better. I would have been able to do the show today, but we tested it this morning, and it is god-awful. So at any given moment, I could crap out. But, boy, it's fantastic to speak with you, Mr. AJ Hawk. And I was following along yesterday while I was traveling with the show, and somebody described your face as home plate, and I've never seen anything more accurate, and I can't thank you enough for hosting while I'm out of town.
That's pretty good, man. I've never all this like this face and jaw talk about me. I'm not. None of this ever happened until I met you, Pat. So hey, I'm glad. I'm okay with it. I don't care. I can handle it.
Well, it's because your jawline is something that men desire. I mean, that thing, I said it was like a shovel, because that is what it's like. It's like a shovel because everybody knows that whenever I go through my diets and phases, I get real fat. And since I'm Irish, my neck becomes the largest thing. I just become one big blob like Shrek's head. But I'm always looking for that jawline. And then you just have this... And the person on the internet yesterday saying it looks like home plate, I've never heard it more accurately described. I appreciate you for hosting my show. You've done a great job. People seem to love it. And there's been a lot popping off in the sports world, AJ. A lot popping off in the sports world.
So much. And we got Jet Passon coming on here at 10:40 today. Did you see what was going on last night with Joe Kelly and the Astros? Like, what happens in a brawl? Do you have to wear your mask if you want to get in a brawl with the other team?
I watched the manager in the umpire battle. Right. I mean, I can see why people on the show get it wrong where they're not centered on the thing now because I'm that guy. This is on me.
And when you get so mad telling people not to hold, not
Pirates manager. Yeah. Okay. I watched the Pittsburgh Pirates manager and the umpire get into it, and they clearly were yelling at each other to put the masks on. Then he put the mask on. Then the nose comes popping out. And I don't know much about COVID-19. I don't think anybody does. But you can get them with a snot rocket, too, from what I've been told. So I believe any altercation, because there's going to be flare-ups. There's going to be, in sports, there's going to be moments where people want to get a little bit angry with each other, especially when you're throwing 96-mile-an-hour fastballs behind people's heads. Not warranted, by the way, warranted. I enjoyed that moment. He told him to shut up afterwards, his face with the babiness. I liked it, but I think we expect a lot more out of that for the Houston Astros. And I think everybody potentially thought that COVID-19 was going to make these pitchers forget about what happened down in Houston. Turns out that's not accurate. And old Mr. Kelly there was like, hey, you think I forgot? I actually added some speed during this quarantine. Okay, me and Henry Rowan-Gardner tightened that son of a bitch up a little bit, and I'm headhunting all damn night. You need to know that.
Yeah, he is. It got me thinking about hockey. There's some exhibition games that have been on. Are hockey players allowed to fight in the NHL? Have they addressed that yet?
Well, they do a face-off to start each period, and if the puck goes out, and they're literally bent over, kissing each other.
But it's different if you take your gloves off and you're trading blows with the dude. Like, don't you think that's like maybe that's just not the best look during COVID?
Everybody knows you go stick, gloves, shirt. Everybody knows that's what you do whenever you get into it on the ice. Mighty Ducks, Bash Brothers taught me that back in the day. And if you want to go in deck hockey, I'll swing the stick, by the way. I'm not dropping it. I feel like I had a bigger brain than everybody else, but potential assault charges come alongside that. Hockey is one where they are going to bump into each other a lot with their faces exposed. So I think they kind of lead the way. But if you're in that bubble where nobody has it, I feel like you're in a safe zone. And I've been saying this about the NBA and the MLS, and the MLS has done such an incredible job. The NBA has done such an incredible job. The NHL, all these bubble leagues have done such a fine job of being able to quarantine and sequester their players away from this bitch COVID-19. So I think the players in the bubble are going to be a lot more comfortable with potentially mixing it up and throwing bones if you have to.
Jeez.
But like the MLB, especially day after the Marlins thing pops off, I would assume they're looking around. They got no idea who's got COVID-19, who doesn't have it, and they're probably going to be a bit more precautious. Just like the NFL, I'd assume the NFL is going to be a lot more precautious than these bubble leagues whenever it comes to altercations and arguments.
Hey, Pat, are you excited? Before we went to break, I teased it for a second, but I guess LeBron made the announcement. He's not going 0 dark 23, 0 30, whatever he does during the playoffs this year, because he needs to be able to stay in contact with his family because he'll be sequestered away for possibly 3.5 months. Are you very excited that LeBron is not doing this, not doing his normal playoff routine? And is it going to affect his on-the-court play?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't like any time he did that 0 dark 23 or whatever it was, because I don't like when people change anything. I don't like when people change anything. If this got you to the dance, while you're dancing, keep it there. That's why I always had the upper body of an adolescent. Everybody knows that whenever I was in college, I didn't have a great upper body, but I had the legs of a Greek god. And then when I got into the NFL, the same damn thing. And everybody was like, you should probably get in better shape. You should stretch more or whatever. And I'm like, no. I'm not going to change anything. So anytime he would change his social media habits, I always thought it was potentially going to be for the worst. But LeBron James obviously was able to battle through. And I like the thought that we're going to get a little bit of an inside glimpse, a little bit of an inside peek on what LeBron looks like whenever it comes down to pressure time. I've been following him. By the way, I had never followed LeBron James on Instagram until, 2 days ago, I guess. So this is kind of a big deal. I'm happy he's not just going to disappear on me at this point, but I don't like when people change anything at all. So I didn't love 0 dark 23 as a theory. It obviously won some things for him, but I'm excited to follow along. And these hub bubble players, the amount of behind the scenes access we're getting through social media is awesome. Back in the day, you would have to bank on whatever media person that was allowed in there to tell us what's going on in these bubbles and who's important, who's not important, who's driving. The fact that we get a chance to see literally everyday life for all these athletes is awesome. For instance, Pittsburgh Penguins were playing tennis yesterday about a couple hours before they were playing the terrible Flyers. I got a chance to see two Swedes play tennis up there in Toronto. Didn't love that we lost to the Flyers in a game that didn't matter, but I liked that the boys were out there swinging the racket around a little bit. I like that LeBron's sticking with it, and I like that we're getting a chance to see everything going on in there.
Yeah, I don't know who it is. There's probably a couple players doing it in the NBA, but it's popped up on my Apple TV YouTube feed, like Life in the Bubble. Do you know who? Have you seen any of those when guys are showing you, like when they're golfing, they're fishing, they're doing all kinds of stuff? It's sweet to see. Like these guys are trying to make the best of it. I mean, they're in a good spot. They have a lot to do. If you're in the NHL, though, do you feel a bit left out that you're in Edmonton or Toronto?
I mean, from what I've been told by everybody that knows Canada, and I think we do have some Edmonton fans, so they've heard this before. I've heard Edmonton's is a dump, a stinkfest, a nightmare, a Staten Island of Canada, is what I've been told. Wow. Now, Toronto looks awesome. Toronto looks, from the inside look that I've seen, there's like a little baby Toronto in there where the Toronto Maple Leafs have their own floor. They've decorated it all. They got golf simulators in there. They got everything going on there in Toronto. I'm not sure I've seen anything out of Edmonton, but who cares, because the champion of the COVID Cup's coming out of the East anyway. So the Edmonton thing is all just a to-do for nothing, because they're just up there skating on ice, sleeping in beds that are in hotels, locked down in a bubble in a city that everybody calls a dump for nothing. Because at the end of the day, Pittsburgh Penguins are going to slice, dice, triple deke, knuckle puck their way into another COVID Cup championship.
Well said.
Yeah, I agree. I think I might have, but I'm reading this on the little outline that Zito sent me. It says a report that Marlins outbreak happened because they left their hotel in Atlanta to have a good time, air quotes. What happened, and how much personal responsibility do these guys have? Because that's going to be the NFL. Like, it's all on the players. How do you, once you're in the facility, yeah, we're pretty good. We have a lot of good protocols. Once you leave and you go home, it's on you to try to make sure you don't infect the rest of your team.
Hey, Atlanta do be like that sometimes. You know? I mean,
Did they
Atlanta
go to Magic
do
City?
be like that. What's that?
I said, did they go to Magic City?
I would assume. I mean, I'm Cheetah's down there as well. I believe there is a bevy of options for you down in Atlanta. And I put out a tweet last night begging for all these said adult ballets or other clubs that are available to go ahead and just shut the doors to these athletes. For the love of sports, just shut the doors down there in Atlanta. But you got a lot of old whites, too, going on Twitter talking about how these spoiled little brats, they're getting a chance to play out their dreams, and all they have to do is just for a couple months lay low. It's like, think if you're 23 years old, 24 years old, and everybody has said this. Every human has said they feel invincible, and you listen to what the original stats were about COVID-19. It's like young people are okay. So there's this initial thought, I would assume, from a lot of younger players. And I think it's good for the NFL what happened with the Marlins, to be honest. Now, granted, every player opting out of the Patriots organization is wild. What the hell does Belichick know? What is going on up there? I do not know. And other star players opting out. What the hell is going on? What do they know that we don't know? And by the way, getting offered six figures just to chill, I guess, is something that some players are going to take 10 times out of 10. But I think there is a heightened awareness on the players that the onus will be on them to kind of lay low. This is on you. We all very much understand that if you're the healthiest team and you don't have COVID, you're going to be the team that wins in the end, because that's a real thing. In the NFL, if you're healthy at the end of the season, you're going to win. Now we're in a time where as long as you stay away from that Rona bitch and you don't lose half your roster for 2 weeks, you're probably going to win in the end. So I would assume there's a lot of conversation about from the veterans on the team talking to the younger guys on the team, because, by the way, I was one of those younger guys that probably would have had to be talked to. Like, hey, Pat, need you not to be an idiot, okay? Like, I understand you're potentially seeing an opportunity to go, boom, have a good time here, or maybe go shotgun a beer here, or maybe beer bong a thing here, but then put the mask on afterwards. Need you not to do that. Need you to lock it down. So I think the veterans on the team have to have a big deal, and I think the Marlins situation is a perfect example for the NFL teams to be like, look what's going on with the Miami Marlins. Yeah, they stink. They're not going to win it anyways, but they almost shut down the entire MLB. We can't have that happen for the NFL, and most importantly, we can't have that for this team, because we need everybody to be able to field a team at the end of this entire thing.
Yeah, you mentioned the Patriots, and you're saying, like, what? I saw your tweet, I think. What does Belichick know?
Everything.
Like, how has he become that much of, like, a mythical figure to where he has 6 guys opting out and everyone's like, oh, why don't we have more guys opting out? Like, if you're a fan of another team, like, do we need some of our guys to opt out so we can open up some cap space and figure something out and try to follow Belichick? Like, what do you think's going on there? Why so many players, I guess, right now, early on, have opted out of New England?
He knows everything.
I have no idea. And last night, I'm going to tell you, okay, here in Pittsburgh, brought some vitamins, had a 4-hour private plane delay. Have you ever heard of that?
Yikes.
No, because you pay an asinine amount of money to not have that happen. So, I mean, yesterday was a long day, got my body measured, maybe making a change or two, by the way, to my tux. Thanks for asking, AJ. I'm sure you care. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, though. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this. There has to be something cooking. It's just, if it was anybody else, you'd be like, oh, okay, those players hate playing for that person. Those players hate playing for that organization. Those players now precautious because of their worries of COVID-19 or whatever. It would just make too much sense. But then whenever you hear the greatest dynasty in the history of professional sports and their veteran players start plopping out at a certain amount of time, and you know they have a salary cap potential issue, and you know Ernie Adams has that big-ass brain up in the top of the stadium always thinking and like kind of watching down on everything. And Bill Belichick is a guy who, if there's something in the rule book that can get danced around, he will. He was the first guy to start really abusing formations to get players that aren't in eligible positions eligible.
Hell,
I mean, there's been a lot of rules that have been changed strictly because Bill Belichick has exploited the rule book. And I'm not saying Bill Belichick's the only football coach that tries to do that. Every coach tries to do that, but it feels as if the Patriots are always the organization that finds a way to get through a situation and exploit it to benefit themselves the most. And it's not every other team wishes they could do it, but Bill Belichick, Ernie, that entire squad are always able to do it. So whenever you see Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, all these other players opting out, you're like, this son of a bitch knows something. Somehow he's going to only have to pay them half their salary this year, half the salary next. Like somehow in the rule books, like asterisk number Z or letter Z in some guideline that nobody has read. It's like if a player opts out at the beginning, but then opts back in 6 days later, your salary cap triples. Like that is what I think could potentially be going on. And I still won't believe that he didn't cook this all up somehow until there's a statement maybe 2 years from now that he didn't cook this all up. No matter what happens, I think it's all BS. He's like a magician in this type of world, and we all know that. And Adam Schefter with that tweet, he said, I was talking to an NFL official, and they said, listen, Bill knows something. That's how the whole world feels. And it's got to feel damn good that you're that good that everybody thinks you're just cooking the game at all times, no matter what happens with your team.
Pat, can I ask you a question, please?
I think Jet Passon's supposed to be on your show 4 minutes ago, but yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna, because we have to drop AJ to get Jet and AJ back on together.
Oh, smart. Hey, Diggs. See, by the way, good magic by you, bub.
Yeah, hey, we're producing shows over here. What do you think about Joey Bosa being the highest paid defensive player of all time, though?
Who's Skinny Zeke back here?
That's a new guy.
Oh, hey, Mansuri. How's it going, Bubby? All right. I saw that on the YouTube feed yesterday because I didn't know how you guys were setting up, so I was following along. A lot of people were saying, who's Skinny Zeke? Are they replacing Zeke? What's going on? Like, no, this is actually all-terrain Zeke's time to shine with nobody there. Joey Bosa is such a classic situation of not only the East Coast bias, but maybe if you go to the Chargers, you kind of just get forgot about. Keenan Allen has been talking about this on the Twitter because of the lack of respect he's been shown in the wide receiver world. But if you think about Joey Bosa and how good he's been, and all the stats are coming out for how good he's been in the last couple of years, PFF has gotten on board. Everybody's like, this guy's been the guy, this guy's been the guy. In my eyes, the Bosa for the Niners is the Bosa that's the game changer. I completely forgot that the godfather or the mafia enforcer's grandson that first came into the NFL for the Chargers was the guy. So him getting this massive contract, $125 million, biggest defensive contract in the history of the game, following up after what Myles Garrett just got a couple weeks ago. I'm happy for him. I'm pumped for him. And for me, I think it's a reminder like, hey, this Bosa family plays no games on the defensive line, and Joey needs a lot more respect. But until they win some games, I don't know if anybody's going to do that. But good for Joey locking it down. He's got a great shoe game. He always has Jordan cleats on, and now he's secured the bag. I wonder if he'll be able to just buy a baseball team now like some other guy that just got broken in half.
That's absolutely wild. Who's going to make more money, the Bosas or the Watts?
Feels like the Bosas are probably going to make more money just because JJ's a little bit older, so he doesn't have a chance to maybe cash in 2 to 3 more times like Joey will. He'll be able to get at least 2 more contracts. Now, granted, that Ultimate Tag Show, we don't know the financials behind that Ultimate Tag Show, okay? That Watt family could be raking in Patrick Mahomes money with that Ultimate Tag Show. We're not 100% sure. But if you go on the field, the Bosas are both so young. I mean, they're going to be able to kind of re-up 2 to 3 more times. JJ has already had his big contract. I'm sure he'll get another big one somewhere, but it'll be for a short amount of years, and then he'll be out there. But if you add in Derek Watt, special team stud, fullback maniac, maybe that third contract might be able to put him in there. But the Bosas, if you can get to the passer is going to get paid. Okay, the quarterback's going to get paid. He touches the ball every single play. If you can affect the quarterback, you're going to get paid. Defensive ends, corners, you're going to get big-ass money as well. So I think they are set up for the long haul here for the absolute cash bag Brinks truck. And here's the first payment for the Godfather Enforcer's grandson, Joey Bosa.
With the Patriots stuff and all those players opting out, do you guys think there's any chance that because they have been doing virtual meetings from the get-go, that they've kind of known who was sitting out for a couple weeks now, and that's why right off the bat everybody came out and was talked about?
What happened to Jet?
We tried squeezing him in there, but for some reason I'm using this camera right now. I apologize. He just didn't answer. His email address was wrong or something. I don't know.
You just cut yourself to the wrong camera? I mean, that's a wild move.
In my defense, it does say Zito on it, and I saw my name and I pressed it. But this is actually me right here.
Rest in peace to Jet. I assume he's been pretty aggressive here. AJ, I would assume that these players did not make publicly that they were going to opt out before it officially came out. I don't think in those Zoom calls with the Patriots they're talking about doing it. I assume some of them might have told Bill that they were thinking about it, but I don't think the rest of the team knew that it was happening. Do you?
No, I don't think they. Maybe a few players here and there, when they're texting back and forth, you might say, "Hey, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it this year. Like, I got a newborn, or I got other issues." But yeah, of course they had to consult with Belichick and with the other front office people. But no, I don't. I think the majority of the team probably found out just like we did when they put it on Twitter or we saw it on TV.
You know how we talked about this with the NBA? If players were to opt out, Adam Silver came out and was like, "Hey, listen. If players opt out, there will be no punishment. There'll be nothing like that going forward." Could you imagine these football guys that are making decisions, whether they're coaches or GMs have to act a bit different, but coaches who are just all they love is ball. This entire COVID-19 quarantine, all they wanted to do was watch film and run people through drills and do stuff like that. And now they're learning that some of their players are like opting out because of safety reasons, precaution reasons, whatever reason. That is going to be something where I understand the message is going to be, hey, by the way, congrats to the NFLPA for negotiating a 6-figure payout if you choose to opt out. The NFLPA doesn't get a lot of credit for things because the NFLPA normally drops the ball in situations. Players getting $150,000 somehow and the NFL agreeing to that if you don't play at all is wild. And I heard there's even more money. I heard there's some more.
But Pat,
money.
hey, it's just a loan though. It's a loan. They take it out of your next year's contract.
Oh, okay. So it's not that big. Is there any interest on it? Or are they going to interest them too?
If you're due $1 million next year, you get $850 if you took the $150 and opted out this year and you weren't high risk.
Hey, I'll tell you what, 0% interest on that loan, though. Not a bad thing if you can get it. Maybe get a small family house if you can at this point, because that's really what it's about. But, sometimes you got to rob future you for present you. But so maybe it wasn't that good of a deal, I guess. Maybe I should take back that compliment to the NFLPA.
Well, what you should do, though, Pat, if you're a bubble guy or you're somebody who probably wasn't going to make the team, guess what? You opt out now, you take the $150. You don't have that contract to take it from the next year.
Yeah, especially if you think there's a chance that – but if you're younger and you don't have accredited season or something, you don't get it. So, there are stipulations on whether or not you can get in there or get out of there. The coaches, though, I think they could get their hearts hurt a little bit for players that have opted out. Just football guys that are like, man, we're all in this together. We're all going through stuff. The fact that you're not here, really disappointing, but we'll get back to it next year. Like, yeah, okay. There's going to be – I understand that the right thing is to be like, well, you shouldn't judge anybody for making the right decision for their family and for their health, and I agree. But I'm just telling you, from the humans that I have encountered that are potential football coaches, I don't know if that's how they're going to look.
Oh, we have passing, guys.
Jet!
What's up, boys?
Hey, Jet, thanks for coming on and joining AJ. Awfully late, but that's probably on Zito, not on you. We appreciate you. Are the stories that the Marlins got infected by this down in Atlanta when they went to Magic City and saw twerking and working, is that true? Or do we know anything on how this has all come about for the Marlins organization? Because they're the only ones that have a failed test in the MLB. The only ones.
Yeah. As much as I would love for them to be true because it would be hilarious, I honestly don't know. I've heard the same things that you guys have read on the internet, and there's all kinds of speculation. But I think, in instances like this, it's almost like the public wants to blame players and throw them under the bus. I just don't think that's fair. I don't think it's right. And if it turns out to be true, then they brought it on themselves. But I have absolutely nothing to confirm the idea that they were out running and eating lemon pepper wings, and that's why this happened.
Jet, what about what happened with Joe Kelly last night, which was amazing, the whole situation, throwing behind him, and then him and Correa going back and forth. Is Major League Baseball going to have to do something drastic to stop teams from throwing at the Astros?
Or fighting?
No, I don't think so. I feel like, coming into the year, there were bets being taken, or the Astros going to be hit more than any team in Major League history. I'm not going to say this was a completely isolated incident, but I think if anybody was going to throw at the Houston Astros, it was going to be the Dodgers. It's funny, of course, that Joe Kelly wasn't even on the Dodgers team in 2017 that lost. He was, however, on the Red Sox team that lost to them in the division series. And Joe Kelly has a long and sordid history of getting into fights, let's say. I mean, you remember in 2018 against Tyler Austin, who is a big dude, like 6'2", 240, looks more like a linebacker than he did a baseball player. Austin charged him out on Joe Kelly, and Joe Kelly just gave him the whole, like, come on, let's have it. Let's go at it. And ended up, like, wrestling Tyler Austin down to the ground and throwing a couple of punches. I'll be honest, I thought what he did yesterday was wrong. I don't like throwing at guys' heads, and Joe Kelly didn't say that he was doing it intentionally, of course.
Wasn't it a slider, though, the one that almost hit him in the head?
What's that?
Wasn't it a slider or a breaking ball that almost hit him in the head?
No, I mean, that's the curveball is the one that almost hit Carlos Correa in the head, but the one to Alex Bregman was 96, like sort of behind his neck. That's just, it's dangerous when you're throwing at a guy's head. And as you know, as bad as what the Astros did was, I personally do not believe that having a hard 5-ounce projectile thrown at your dome is the right recourse, and something like I just don't buy baseball vengeance. I think it's Neanderthal. I think it's kind of stupid, and wish it hadn't happened. But hey, watching Joe Kelly like traipse off the field and give the sad face to Carlos Correa, and watching him yawn after throwing behind Alex Bregman, Joe Kelly's an interesting cat.
Well, Jed, I believe that's why you cover baseball, not play baseball. You know, that competitive thing is when it looks for vengeance, for sure.
Yeah, you know, Pat, that makes two of us who don't play baseball. So,
hang up on him.
Hey, check the stats, Bob. Right fielder, second place Frontier League team, Washington Wild Things. I don't have to rub that in your face. You know, you're a baseball expert. But the vengeance thing, I was following along with you, and I saw you you first tweeted about it, and then I would assume everybody came after you in the baseball world, like how that's not good for the game. So then you had to clarify that you have always had to stand point that you don't like people throwing at people's heads, which is probably smart. But let's talk about something that happens in baseball that's going to happen. And AJ and I talked about it a little bit ago. Are there rules in place for disagreements? Like we saw the Pirates manager and the umpire get into it, and they both fixed their mask. The ump actually pulled the mask out of his back pocket. If players were to fight, do they have to put their masks on before they spear each other? Has that been talked about, or is it like, hey, let's try to avoid physical altercations all that we can?
No, it's in the protocol, Pat, saying essentially there will be severe repercussions for teams that fight, which leads me to believe that there's still a chance that there's going to be some discipline after last night's game, if only because on the same day that the Marlins outbreak jumped to 17 people in the organization, the Astros and the Dodgers were not promoting social distancing particularly well by getting off the bench and congregating like they did on the field there. It's the kind of example baseball doesn't want to see set, but the fact that there wasn't a knockdown, drag out, Pat McAfee, Adam Cole, Donnie Brooks style fight leads me to believe there's probably not going to be discipline in this case.
Hey, Jet.
Well, Jet, I'll tell you what, Jet, you throw a baseball at my head, I'm throwing a bat at your face. I don't know how they had the restraint, but I like that they did.
I listen, Pat. You are an alpha, and I understand that that's going to come out of you. I tend to have some more restraint, and perhaps that's why my football career ended before it even started. But I respect the hustle, man. You got to do what you got to do.
Papa Alpha Tango. Sorry about that. What's the guy, AJ?
Hey, Jet, sorry. I know we last thing before we go, and you call him Pat and Alpha is going to let him just cruise through this day feeling so good about himself. So I appreciate you really boosting the young guy's spirit before his big wedding comes this Saturday as well. But what about Pat Mahomes? He's an owner of the Royals. Do we know how much? Like what kind of percentage? Do you know any kind of cash that he threw down? Do you have any idea?
I doubt it's a whole lot. I mean, I think just having Patrick Mahomes associated with the Chiefs, or with the Royals rather, if I'm John Sherman, if I'm the owner of the Royals, I'd give Patrick Mahomes a chunk of the team for $1, just knowing that he's going to be in Kansas City for the next decade plus. He's going to be
Jet,
a
appreciate
legend
you, man.
here.
Sorry we're up against a hard out, buddy. I'm so sorry. Thank you for your time.
AJ, it's not a hard out. It's
We
back.
actually just came back.
We got back.
Top
yeah.
of the hour.
This is ridiculous. Jet, my bad. Stay on the line. I'm getting texts from different people. I'm getting hand signals thrown my way from multiple different people in the studio and Pat. But hey, we're back. Here we go. The Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk. Thanks for coming back, guys.
I believe Jet has a hard out at 11 as well.
Oh, well, go do it,
Yeah,
Jet. Okay.
All right, get out of here.
Fly away, Jet.
Here's the thing. I love this show. Screw it. Let's do one more question.
Private
All right,
Jet.
here's my question. Rob Manfred did not look like a stooge in his first comments about the entire Marlins situation. He hammered home how player safety is the biggest important thing. How do you think the MLB, the MLBPA, and the entire league have to come together after this Marlins situation? And I assume the NFL is going to have to do the same thing, but kind of point at this situation and say, hey, this can't happen anymore. Who's going to be doing that? How is this going to fall out? And has Rob Manfred taken a turn maybe in looking like a leader in this entire process?
I'm not going to go that far yet, but because I think it's incumbent ultimately on the players, on the staff, on the people who are out there on a daily basis. And there are going to be protocols put into place. You know, I don't think players are going to be allowed to leave hotels on the road anymore. I think it's just going to be like, if you're caught out, there will be discipline from the team, because I think teams understand the ones that stay healthy are going to be the ones that win. And that's clear with the Marlins right now, who probably weren't going to win a whole lot this year anyway, but they've lost 15 guys out of the 33 who were traveling with the team. That's an enormous amount, and they're going to have to fill them in with minor league guys and minor league free agents and guys who simply are not to the caliber that the guys who are on their big league roster are. So it's, I think it's ultimately going to fall on the people who are there every day. But the protocols that are in place need to be respected, need to be observed, and frankly, I think need to be a little more stringent than they are right now, because baseball can't afford another outbreak like this. And if it happens to a team like the New York Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers, I think we're having a whole different conversation right now.
Yes, that is correct. Jet, I know you're a busy man. We see you everywhere on the TV. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. We'll talk to you again soon.
Look forward to it, boys. Take care.
Baby Jet.
So, hey, Pat, I want to figure this out quick. That was Jet passing. Thank you so much for his time. I appreciate him. He's always great. So we went to break on the radio show, and then we came back, and I got it flipped. So we went to break at 53-something, and then came back at 58. Is that right? And I had him flipped.
Someone's never
Yeah,
watched the show.
You absolutely abused the hard out at the end of the hour and the opening of the new hour. So you just absolutely slaughtered it. And that's why you're an amateur at this thing, maybe getting to become a professional. That is something I would never, ever do. I have a lot of respect.
Let me cut you off real quick. So you wanted me, we had Jet called in at like 10:49. You wanted me to drop him at 10:53?
No, so, classic professional host move would be, as the radio show was ending its first hour, you say, okay, Jet passing conversation will continue. YouTube.com/The Pat McAfee Show for our radio listeners, which we appreciate in abundance. You can either go over there to watch the rest of this, or we'll see you at the top of the next hour where Jet passing will probably be mid-sentence while
That's good to know. I appreciate it. Thank you. I learned something here today. That was never a thing. I know sometimes I get distracted by you sitting there flexing into your phone because you see yourself on the screen, and it's the most, like, hopefully there's nobody that gets car sick or seasick watching this, because the amount how you have bobbled your phone around that hotel room is just, it's unbelievable.
I'm an alpha, AJ. I'm an alpha. Okay? I didn't say it. Other people are saying it. But I'm going to say we have to set up something a little bit different for our guests. This is not easy.
I know.
Okay? Should have laid down. Just got some water. I don't know if that was what that was. I almost just choked to death. But you have to maintain a certain part of the thing here. It's not easy being a guest on this show.
If you say dead center on your phone, you're good. I believe that's like the way to think about it.
You need to prop your phone onto something. Just lean it against something on a desk.
It's a power
I'm in a
move.
hotel that I don't. And by the way, I just want to let everybody know, unlike the Marlins, okay, I've been locked down in a hotel whenever I'm not where I have to be. So I'm trying to do my part, unlike the Marlins have been. But that's a mobile dome, what he's talking about. That's just a traveling dome is what he's referring to. If he's saying that players are going to have to be locked down in their hotels, which, by the way, I thought was going to be the rules originally, that's just a mobile dome. So is the NFL going to have to do that? Then what's going to happen when players are at home? Are the people that they're living with at home, are they also locked down? Because can't somebody that you live with go to the grocery store and potentially suck face with the deli person who has COVID-19, come home, maybe touch you, and then all of a sudden you have COVID-19 and then it doesn't matter? I'm pumped to see how this continues to go, but it is promising that only one team in the MLB, only one team has a failed test. Even for all that we know about COVID-19, you would think that the Phillies would be in a problem because they're even sharing the same diamond, the same baseball as the Marlins. Then none of them got it. So I guess there are some paths to success that the NFL is looking at, but that's always been my big question. It's like, so the people that live with the players, they also have to commit to this thing too. This is a full family affair, a full friend affair, a full roommate affair. This is an entire commitment. And to be honest, if I was in the league, I would want media people to kind of explain that this is not an easy task to be a human who's just locked down while playing your sport. But now that I'm outside and I just need football to happen, these players need to tighten up. Okay, these players need to understand that your happiness does not matter. Okay, get your ass out there on that diamond, out there on that field, hit each other, and then go right back into home and put a gas mask on like Laramie Tunsil.
You're right, and think of the tough thing that you're going to have to do. I understand there's probably not going to be fans at most of these games. Maybe there'll be some. What do you do when your family wants to come during the season, like your parents, your aunt and uncle, cousins? Are they not going to be coming up and seeing their son or daughter or cousins or whatever? Do you think people are going to tell their family, hey, stay away, don't worry about coming here for the weekend?
Yeah, tell your family you hate them, okay? Tell them. You got to do what you got to do. I don't know how any of it works from an actual human standpoint, and that is always forgotten when it comes to professional athletics is – you never forget about the human that's in there because the amount of money that somebody's being paid, because of the dream situation that they're in. But whenever it comes down to these types of guidelines and protocols, you have to think about the human that has to execute it. And for the MLB, for these Marlins players, they've probably been locked down, maybe living this lockdown life for a couple weeks now, maybe a month. In one night, they slip. One night, they're like, we can go. And then all of a sudden, boom, nightmare catastrophe happens out of nowhere. That is just, it's going to be a case study. It's going to be a talking point for everybody else. And I think that's why everybody's very, very intrigued to see if any of this works out. But I have a lot of hope that the NFL is going to be able to get this done because of the pictures that have been coming out from training camp with the glass windows in between lockers. I saw Phil Rivers rocking the Colts helmet, looked good, was wearing a Hickory shirt, good pandering by old Phil. But I saw the inside of a lot of buildings. It feels like they're doing everything they possibly can to get this done, but it's going to be tough with humans, man. Anytime you have human error possibility, guess what happens? Human error. I mean, that's just what happens.
Well, just the numbers. Think how many players are on each team, how many support staff are on each team that can just mess it up for everybody on that team. All it takes is one or two guys to go out there. And I know the NFL has things in place on what you can get punished for, what they can fine you if you're at a place that is 10 or more people, if it's a bar setting or whatever. There's all these different things put in place. But, yeah, I think you're right, though. When you say, whatever happened to the Marlins right now, that's the best possible – not the best possible, but it's – a great wake up, a reminder for all these other leagues and all these other athletes. Hey man, you guys want to play, right? You play, you get paid. A lot of guys are motivated by money. You want to get paid, you better stay healthy and not go take unnecessary risk outside of this facility. So I think maybe some players are scared straight a little bit from all of what happened with the Marlins and seeing okay, it can happen and we can still continue. Now the Marlins aren't getting back on the field for another 5 days or something maybe. But
why are the Yankees and Phillies not playing?
Yeah, I don't know. That didn't make any sense. But the Yankees are playing Baltimore tonight now instead for 2 games. So that's 4 games they'll have to make up against the Phillies at some point. That I wasn't really sure on the logistics of that either.
Ty, great chair.
I know, right?
Are you going to space? AJ, have you seen that chair that he's sitting in right there?
No, I want to show me. What is that, a gamer chair?
You bet. Fits the back and neck great. You know, my neck's still a little sore, so it's nice to have some lumbar support here.
Why is your neck sore?
Well, because Adam Cole shoved me.
Oh, did he punk you too?
No.
All right, I'm leaving.
No.
AJ, by the way,
Wow.
now's the perfect time, okay? Now's the perfect time for you to apologize for saying what you said to me on my show, on my platform, on my network.
You're right, Pat. Like I do. I need to take this time. I need to apologize to you. I am sorry. I'm sorry that Adam Cole came into your studio and you, being the alpha, decided to take a step back and be the beta that day and say, you know what? I'm such an alpha. I will let you alpha me in this beautiful studio I built. Pat will see this clip. I'm continuing. Pat knows that he can hang up all he wants. It doesn't matter. So Pat was the bigger man that day as the alpha, saying, you know what? I don't need the limelight. I don't need to look good in this encounter. I'm going to step back. I'll be the beta here. Adam Cole is obviously out alphaing me, and I'll just let him go about his way, and I'm not going to do anything about it. So, Pat, I apologize. I give you a lot of credit. You're a bigger man than I am.
AJ, you son of a bitch.
Don't
Very
know if that
condescending.
was
You
a-
son of a bitch.
I don't know if that was an apology.
AJ, what the hell's wrong with you?
I said I was sorry multiple times directly to Pat.
No, it was a backhanded sorry. You know what you were doing, you son of a bitch.
Connor, so
Yeah. What's up? What's going on?
your Joey Bosa question earlier just got me.
Oh, yeah. Well, that Joey Bosa question was a terrible brain fart, my friend. But real quick with the Joe Kelly thing. Apparently, the last thing he said that what caused Correa to walk over was, nice swing, bitch. Was there ever one thing that you heard on the field that caused somebody like to flip that switch and be like, oh, that's it. I'm going after that guy?
Man, there is. I'm trying to think of specifics. There's always, there's not like unwritten rules, but there wasn't a whole lot ever talked about like people's family life. Like no one really mentioned wives or kids or anything on the field. But guys I can't think of one thing that would make a guy freak out, honestly. I'm trying to think right now off the top of my head, but no, I never really saw anything happen like that. Like someone saying nice swing, bitch. Like that's not gonna make anyone go crazy. I may laugh at the guy if they said it to me, but I don't know. Like, have you guys ever seen anything in other sports where you see someone just all of a sudden lose their mind and freak out?
Well, you played with Vontez Burfict. What did people say to him that made him so upset?
Nothing. The referees would make him upset. That's Vontez knew. Like, that's the thing. Once he got labeled, whatever he was, what kind of player he was, if someone called him a dirty player and he's gonna cheap shot people, the refs were looking for it, man. And refs would tell him before the game, during the game, and then other teams would mess with him. They'd always try to like goad him into doing something and trying to instigate things. And he knew it going in. The coaches would tell him, he would understand that. And sometimes, man, it was just tough because teams would mess with you and then refs would jump in on it. And I think the refs are what actually make a lot of guys go crazy. If something is called, if something isn't called, or they feel like they're being treated unfairly compared to other guys.
So he was just a moron.
Whoa.
No, I'm not saying that.
Nick.
Well, there was the AJ Green thing with Jalen Ramsey. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know what happened there, but man, AJ is such a quiet, professional guy that doesn't say a whole lot, just goes out and dominated every single day in practice and every single game. When he lost his mind on Ramsey, I was like, man, what happened here? I don't know what was said. Did you guys know?
No, I don't think it ever came out.
Yeah, no clue. The only thing I heard about like cornerbacks talking trash was Richard Sherman saying like very, very complicated words because he went to Stanford. Obviously, has a big old brain. That's the only thing I heard from like corners. And the Cortland Finnegan, Andre Johnson, never knew what was said in that exchange either.
Yeah, I don't know if it was even one thing. It's just who makes the first move, like to turn this into a physical altercation after the snap. Like that's the thing. Like if someone starts to make a move, the other guy, all right, well, I'm not going to sit out here and get punked on the field. I got to figure this out. That's usually what happens and what gets it going, and then all the other people join in because you want to help your teammates and you don't want to see this happen. But it's, I don't know. I can't think of one thing. It's usually nothing big said. It's usually something that happened, like you pushed them late right after the whistle, and you continue to do something. Someone's just a pest and continues to push somebody late or block them an extra second and a half after the whistle for the first 3 quarters of the game. Guess what? In the fourth quarter, someone might get fed up and start to fight with that person. That's what I see happen. But hey, I know we're going to go to a break here now. just because. Pat, Pat's back. Never mind. We're not going to a break. I'm not doing any breaks for your radio show. Pat, if you're a radio show, you know what? If you're a radio listener, we may go to a break sometime or not. But if not, go to youtube.com/something for Pat McAfee show and watch this.
I must have lost some service there. I'm sorry. I must have lost some service there.
You did. You missed the best part of my apology. I don't know why you hung up.
Well, you called me a beta, and then my service dropped out for some reason. And by the way, you know what's after beta, whenever people have been calling me alpha, is a cuck. And I wasn't even going to let you slip down that road, pal, so that I think the service dropped out. Good hosting there, though. YouTube.com/The Pat McAfee Show during the commercial break. I'm sure this conversation will continue.
Yeah, well, see, I was saying you out-alphaed the alpha by taking a step back in that altercation with Adam Cole. So I was giving you a compliment.
Oh, see, I didn't get to hear that because my service dropped out. And we talked early that the reason why I'm not hosting today is because I don't have good enough Wi-Fi or I could drop out. So I didn't even get a chance to hear you talk about how I'm such a alpha. And that's kind of a shame. I appreciate your apology. I think it was fake. It was insincere, but I like it a lot.
Very backhanded.
It was fake.
Yeah, it was not
Super
sincere.
condescending.
It was fake.
What a prick.
Yeah, seriously.
Hey, can I ask you two a question?
Go ahead.
When Joey Bosa gets paid, literally like right before training camp starts, and he rolls in the locker room, what's the atmosphere in the locker room when he walks in?
Ooh, let me hold something. Oh,
hey, can I hold $1? Let me hold $1. I never understood that. Let me hold $1. Okay, what?
Yeah. I think that was like kind of old school. Let me hold $1 because I moved that quickly to let me hold 10K. You know what I mean? Like I moved that from $1 to 10K. But I think teammates are pumped. Everybody wants to see everybody get paid. Like that is something that's very interesting. Although contract negotiations always get weird for people and it can get a little bit personal. And I guess some players it doesn't get like that. But inside that locker room, when somebody gets paid, everybody is happy for them because that's ultimately the goal of playing professional sports. So I would assume there's a massive celebration in that locker room as soon as Bosa walks in there. I assume there's more than a couple can't hide it. Can't hide it. It's coming from whatever pair of shoes he wears in there first day because he's got a great shoe game. But there's going to be overall excitement from people for their teammate getting paid. And you don't even, as somebody that has to cover this now from a objective standpoint, you know, with a big brain, in the locker room, you don't even get into the old, well, since he got paid, now there's no salary cap left for me to get paid. Like that doesn't even cross people's mind. Even though people think players are very selfish and everything like that, the initial thought is, good for you, man. I'm gonna try to get like you. You earned it. You deserve it. And now let's go ahead and get a championship so people know that our team exists.
Hey boys, we haven't hit break yet, by the way. So if you want to throw it a break, feel free. Don did not throw it yet.
Well, hey Pat, we're gonna go to break here right now. We'll be back on the other side, 11:30 Eastern. We will have Jay Glazer, but Pat and I's conversation will continue if you.
Hey boy, AJ! Hey boy, AJ!
Pat, where do they go to continue on this conversation?
YouTube.com/the alpha.com.
Thanks, guys. We'll be right back on the other side. Pat and I will continue on YouTube. Pat, what's up?
They're not on break yet, AJ. Let the radio clear.
No. Good.
And clear.
Yeah,
listen, you just spoke through the radio break. There's like local station identification that goes, Pat, what's up, right in the middle of it.
Hey, you'll be all right. You'll be okay, Pat. Don't worry. That's the first time ever I've done this show and someone said, and break.
Who said that? Zito? By the way, I see Zito's doing full producer mode. He was counting down the seconds until the hard out that you blew right through at the beginning of the hour. And then now he's like, hey, we haven't gone to a break yet. We have to do that. Zito,
hey,
look
no
at
big
you coming into your own, kid.
I'm trying my hardest right now.
Baby Z.
Bear down.
Zito's doing a great job, man. I feel bad. Zito's got to run around like crazy when I'm doing it remote like this. So, Zito, great work. Well, if you don't know, Pat, I tried to throw it to break earlier, and as I was throwing to break, you popped back up on screen because you said your connection came back.
See? I couldn't hear you because my connection was bad. So that's on me. I interrupted you. But you know what? Adversity, AJ. Ever heard of it? Huh? Life is not about what happens. It's how you react to what happens.
Ooh.
And that is on a poster in this hotel that I'm staying on in right outside, by the way.
Gentlemen,
So
speaking of
when are
reaction.
you back in Indy?
Tonight. I'm flying back tonight. So I'm actually just collecting the tux today. I had to go in this morning and get one final little touch up because, we did some change, but I'm flying back tonight with tux in hand, ready to say, I do.
Is everything going all right with the whole wedding? I know you had to change of venue and date a couple months back.
Sam, my lady has been a hero in this entire. She's had to. Now, granted, we obviously because we're getting married, so a lot of we talk. But she has handled a lot of the, planning for this said weddings that were supposed to take place. So, from what I've been told, we are all systems go. We are clear for takeoff. We are ready to have a great night. I've been getting a lot of texts from people.
Let's go.
I've been getting a lot of texts from people about what I need to think about during the day, because I guess a lot of people have told me that the wedding will fly by. So, make sure you enjoy the moment, enjoy your bride, because everybody, I guess, tries to talk to their friends that are in town. We don't have as big of a gathering because of this COVID-19 bitch, but I'm pumped for Sam to get a chance to enjoy all of her hard work in putting this wedding together. And I'm excited to, have a bride after this weekend. And this tux that we're putting together, I think I'm going to look, hey, I'm going to look like one of them alphas you were talking about that you called me earlier. You know what I mean?
Does she know what your tux looks like, or is it going to be a surprise to her?
No, so I guess she's supposed to know what it looks like, but since I wasn't allowed to see any of the fucking dresses she's wearing, I've decided, no, you don't get to see what I'm wearing either. Then that's just the game we're going to play. And I don't know.
Another alpha move. You're asserting your dominance once again.
Well, and also just pettiness, could have been very easily shown her. It doesn't matter, but since, I don't get the chance to see the dress, I guess that's a big moment. We have a first look that's going to happen on Saturday where I get to see her for the first time in her dress before we get married. And people have told me that becomes a bit emotional. Now, let's remember, I did not watch any Disney movies as a child. So a lot of people think that I potentially missed out on a lot of emotional development. But we will learn a lot this weekend whenever I see my incredibly beautiful lady dressed up to become a McAfee. I'm pumped up about it.
Hey, Pat, we got Jay Glazer at 11:30. You're going to hang on here and we can talk to him together?
I think my thing isn't – I think I got to go. I got to go. What are you going to talk to him about?
What should I talk to him about? You tell me.
Definitely got to talk about that absolute buzzkill fucking news drop that he ruined. You got to do it. I know you requested him to be your guest on this show, so I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but you have to talk about that. Are we live?
No, 10 seconds away, we'll be live. 5.
You got to fucking ask
4,
about that, because I don't even remember that guy's fucking name, and that
2,
was supposed to be big fucking news. You remember that? I mean, that was a big problem.
Brian, hey, welcome back. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk. We were back from break for the radio listeners. We've been keeping this going on YouTube. I'm joined currently still by the Pat McAfee, the ultimate alpha. We'll be getting married this coming Saturday. He's looking forward to it.
Hell yeah.
Jay Glazer joins us at 11:30.
Yeah.
Pat might hang on, but he claims he has to leave the room. I do not believe him. I think he can make it for 8 to 12 more minutes. But Pat, welcome back to welcome yourself back to the radio listeners.
Well, hey guys, I missed you yesterday. I want to be honest. I tried to watch the show, couldn't do it because I was in the sky. I tried to keep up with it afterwards, but I was too busy doing a bunch of stuff to lock in this tux. So I missed the listeners. I missed the viewers. I missed the conversation with the boys. Hey, with the boys.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Hey, what was the guy's name? What was the player's name that Jay
Brian
Jay teased
Allen.
out that tested positive?
It was Brian Allen. He plays center for the Rams. Superstar.
Hey, by the way, if Brian Allen opted out, none of us would know.
True.
Nope. Von Miller was like the next day, if you remember correctly.
Oh, Ian Rappaport just took a dump on Jay Glazer the next day with Von Miller having COVID-19. But hey, you're going to get got in this game. You just got to get yours more than you get got, though. And I think that's the message you got to say to Jay Glazer.
Hell yeah.
Well, haven't you had Jay on since he had that news dump?
No.
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought you did. No, maybe you tweeted about it. You said Jay redeemed himself with some other drop he had.
Oh, yeah. What news did he – he did something. He broke some news, and I said, Jay Glazer's back, baby, and he, retweeted it. And then I got a bunch of tweets that was like, no, he is not. So I still am not 100% sure if Jay Glazer's back in the game, but I do know that Jay Glazer's decades and decades of hard work in intel should not have been ruined by one terrible news break that he teased for 48 hours. But it sure feels like that's how the internet reacted. And I think you, as an upstanding journalist, have to talk to him about that.
Oh, ask him. Well, I think he was he was trying to hype up a new show that Fox was doing too. Didn't he announce the news on the show?
Yeah, they had an internet show they were doing, and that's always good. It was bad. It was all bad. It was all bad. But Jay Glazer's our guy, and I'm sure he has a lot of information, particularly about how the NFL has been talking to the players here the first day of training camp. They just got tested, and they're still having virtual meetings. So then I guess tomorrow they'll get tested again. Anybody that has 2 negatives can go in the building and get to work, and then they'll get tested every other day for the first couple weeks. I'm assuming Jay Glazer has something about the messaging that has been sent from the NFL to the players about this Marlins situation. Maybe some more players potentially opting out, why they're opting out. I think Jay Glazer will be a wealth of knowledge here for you in about however many
6
minutes.
minutes.
The clock doesn't work whenever you use your FaceTime sideways. What is that all about? This thing stinks. 6
About
minutes.
6 minutes.
5
5
minutes.
almost. Jay's schedule is going to change a lot because I don't know about you and Indy. Jay would go to a ton of training camps and hang out with the head coaches all the time. I'd see him with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay for a few days. I saw him in Cincinnati with Marvin Lewis. He is tight with so many coaches.
You just
as
Bruce
you
Aaroned
continue to
yourself.
drop your phone. Do you feel bad now for bad-mouthing all of your guests that can't figure out their phone situation?
I used to think people were just the dumbest ever. Figure out your phone, figure out technology. But this is impossible because I have to stay like this if I want to stay in the camera frame because I got pillows and a bed. I mean, this is okay. But I don't talk about the situation, and I don't talk about problems. I talk about solutions, and I talk about answers.
Amen.
And that's what we're currently doing right now. And it might be a little bit of an echo because I'm screaming from the other side of the room right now. But I think I have found the solution here. This isn't one of those beds, turns out, that you can jump around on it and a glass of wine on the other side will stay standing. But yeah, you're right. The Jay Glazer Handshake tour is not going to happen this year. So will he still have his insider, his intel? Will he be doing Zoom calls with all these people to get information from them? That's a good question as well. How much is this changing his profession, which he is? And we've made fun of him rather hard for that entire Brian Allen guy or Brian Johnson guy. What's his name?
Brian Allen. You got it.
Brian Allen. I knew that. Backup center for a team that we know about. He has done great work giving us information. Oh, yeah. And I think he will drop some information on the show. But this changes all aspects of sports, man. Media people can't meet with players. Obviously, they have to do it via Zoom. The players have to now watch everything that they're doing. COVID-19 has obviously affected the world in a terrible fashion. Okay, a lot of people are going through things. Anybody that gets to play a sport for a living in the middle of this pandemic is obviously living a dream. That is true. But there is a new set of circumstances and guidelines that everybody has to adjust to, and I'll be excited to hear what Jay Glazer's doing to do that.
What do you say to people that think the on-the-field product is going to be sloppy and not look like it normally does?
Listen, I watch the MLS, and they look better than they've ever played before.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so they are bad, but it is so much fun. We went to penalties last night, by the way. Round of 16, Columbus Crew, Minnesota, whatever their team's name, they went to penalty kicks last night. Minnesota has been practicing those. Columbus is not. Congrats to the Minnesota soccer team over there that moves on. The MLS has been exciting. I don't know, AJ. I think that's a better question for you because I've always talked about how first couple of days of training camp, if you have a new offense or a younger offense, the offense gets crushed and slaughtered by the defense because defense is, since the beginning of time, see ball, get ball. That's all it is. In the first couple of days of training camp on a very regular occasion, not when Peyton was there because that crew was around for a long time, I was always like, well, here we go. We're going to be punting 7,000 times this year. We can't move the ball at all. But then after a couple weeks happen, the offense finds a little bit more rhythm. They know a little bit more plays. They do that entire thing. With this season, and they got 48 days still to kind of figure it out. And they'll have strength and conditioning and padded practice. They won't have any preseason games. Do you think it's going to favor the defense early like it does with training camps?
Yeah, it might favor the defense early, but honestly, once you get into game action, like regular season games, it's football is football, man. And especially if they have a 6-week build up where they do the workouts, then they go to kind of an OTA schedule, and then you have training camp. Yeah, there won't be preseason games, but you'll have enough ones-on-one scrimmaging and stuff. The toughest thing, I think, getting into a game is when your first, real live action in a game happens in preseason a lot. You're like, oh, there's no one blowing the whistle. This guy, normally you run as a defender and you kind of either tag off or you thud. And then your first time, you get so much more tired taking guys to the ground. That's what you realize. You have to chase the ball that much harder. You got to get them down. Sometimes you forget. Yeah, there you go. Like they want to see you throw your arms and thud the backer receiver in practice, and then you get in the game. And you're like, oh, it takes a lot more energy to actually take this guy to the ground. Like Pat just showed me. I think his phone popped off the bed.
Great tackle.
Wouldn't you get more tired when you would get into the regular season or preseason, and you're like, oh, I got to actually cover this punt now. I don't just get to stand here and watch this beautiful thing.
I was so thankful for the regular season because we didn't have bums blocking for me in the preseason anymore. I was so much happier. And it was like, okay, this matters. So for me, I don't even like to have these conversations because, to be honest, my position is nothing in comparison to everybody else's position when it comes to training camp, the dog days of training camp. Like, I didn't mind training camp. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, all right, we're kind of getting away. I'll kind of hang out by the lobby where everybody hangs out with. We'll do a little camaraderie building. Okay, I'll go meet with the fans. I'll sign some autographs for like 4 or 5 hours. I'll eat some food here. All right, like training camp for me was just one big social gathering, like it wasn't that bad, where everybody else obviously has a much different aspect of it. But when it comes to level of play, for me, when regular season heightened up a little bit, there's always something in your mind like, okay, this matters. Like, okay, this matters, this matters, this matters. And as much as you try to be professional, and I always like to have the mindset like, okay, practice reps are game reps. Like, and in practice, I would try to put myself into a situation where it's like, okay, here we are, fourth quarter, we're up 6. All right, let's figure that out. I would always try to do that. And I think that's what the greats do. I think Vinatieri can do that. Jim Caldwell always talked about that's what Peyton was able to do. But there's just something to the regular season that just means so much more. And especially now, I think maybe that first game or two, there could be a situation where guys are like, oh, damn, this is real. Oh, damn, this is real. Here we go. There might be that moment of like, all right, we got to actually get to this thing.
Hey, Zito, what's our progress on Jay Glazer?
If you want me to call him on the phone right now, we could call him right now. I could call him on the phone. Or if I'm
going to get out of here. I'm going to watch this.
All right, there it is.
Why?
Because this is your this is what you wanted to do. You wanted to interview Jay.
Hey, let's call him on the phone, Z, so we can keep Pat here.
We can.
Why is my hat crooked? Is this my head or the hat?
That's a good question.
It seems a little slanted, the hat.
Or we could hang up on one of you and do a 3-time FaceTime.
Hang up on me so my connection's better.
You got it. All right, Pat, here you go.
Man, oh, man.
This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm Pat McAfee. I'm not supposed to be hosting today, though, so the fact that I'm here is kind of BS. I'm currently in a hotel in Pittsburgh awaiting the final alterations for my tuxedo because I'm getting married on Saturday to the love of my life. I can't wait for that. I've been masked up out here in Pittsburgh. I've been in quarantine in this hotel. To be honest, I'm going a little bit stir crazy, but for the wedding. FTW.
Oh, yeah. For the love.
For love. For the wedding. I'll be back in studio tomorrow. We have some great guests. Pierre McGuire will be joining us from the bubble, I do believe. So we got some good stuff popping off. And then right now, I mean, get ready to have your eyes blown and your ears mesmerized. Not only is AJ Hawk a Super Bowl champion joining me, but also a man who's an insider's insider, a man that penetrates any story that you could possibly fathom, the man who broke the news of the first ever COVID-19 case in the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen.
He will be.
What are you wagging your finger at me, Vito?
Not yet. Couple minutes.
Oh, Jay. Is that Jason McAfee?
Yeah. The other Jay.
Happy birthday, Jay.
Happy birthday, Jay.
Pat, did I see that? Did I see that FanDuel's giving out free money again tomorrow night?
Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Dumbest campaign in sports gambling history. We started this in Indiana with the Colts and Saints, and then we did it for the IU-Purdue game. It's called the Spread the Love campaign. Now, granted, when we first did it, they had only every 250 bets, it would gain a point on the spread. And we got the Colts up to like plus 59. And by the way, they almost lost. Then we did the IU-Purdue game, and we got the Indiana Hoosiers up to like plus 100 and something in a $50 max bet. Now we're doing it for the return of the NBA tomorrow night. The Spread the Love campaign is every single state that is legal for FanDuel sports gambling. Every 2,500 bettors that pick the Lakers in the Spread the Love campaign, it goes up a point. The Lakers started at -4. We were at even money before we went to bed last night, so 10,000 people already are in on it. This is team betting to the nth degree. We're in this together to take down FanDuel. So if if you are of age and in a state that FanDuel operates in, we need you because this will be a lock. $50 in the pocket for everybody that gets in there. This is team betting. We need to do it. Now, speaking of team betting, here's a man that I'll bet on to break news if I need some news to be broken. Not only is AJ Hawk Super Bowl champion here, who's supposed to be hosting my show, so I'm not sure why I'm doing this from a bedroom in Pittsburgh right now, but joining us now, your insider's insider from Fox Sports, ladies and gentlemen, Jay Glazer.
Boy, Jay! Woo!
Well, kid, hey, so Pat, you're getting married this week? Is that what's going on? That's why you're over there?
Saturday, I'm getting married. My final alterations to my tux are being made. I'm picking that thing up this afternoon and going right back to Indianapolis, Jay.
I got 2 words for you. Elope. Please, man, take wedding advice from the dude who was married for a whopping 10 months. I'm telling you, I got all the answers. True story, man. I was married for 10 months. My friends at my wedding had a divorce pool. Rondé Barber, 10 months, bam, on the nose. My friends are jagoffs, clearly.
Did you make it? Are you still married?
No, 10 months. I was married for 10 months. That's the point of the story.
Oh, my God. That's less than, I think Vinny Chase from Entourage was what? He got divorced, I think, in like a week. Yeah. But aside from that, you, Kim Kardashian, Chris Humphries, I mean, that's a record, Jay. That's an absolute record.
Well, yeah, I really got divorced only so Rondé would win the 10-month, thing that he bet on. The friend of the year right there. That's
Nice.
it. I had to sacrifice the wedding.
All right, let's get into this because you are a good friend, and your friendships are what make you basically such a weapon in this industry, in this world. What have you been hearing from NFL teams about what happened with the Marlins? Have they instituted anything with the Marlins, or is there a lot of conversations like, hey, we need you guys to be locked down at your houses? Like, how are they going to handle this so we don't have a Marlins situation in every single NFL locker room? Because the NFL locker rooms, everybody's on top of each other.
Look, we're obviously using this right now as a teaching tool to tell these guys it's on you. You guys have to police yourselves. And, obviously it's different because baseball, they're around each other every day. Football, you'll have that week break in between if there's an outbreak or something happens. But the problem with sports, man, whether it's baseball, football, anything, they all wait to the last second to figure stuff out. Happens all the time, right? We've had all this time here in the NFL, and they go down to the last second. It always happens. It's not just with this. It's with everything. That's what sports leagues and what they do. Here's the bottom line. There's no normal anymore. There's no normal. So that's our new normal, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't. But as a result, you want to be as proactive as you can, but I don't think anybody knows really where to be proactive. So whoever's the best reacting, right, that's who's really going to, I think, have somewhat of a leg up, if you will. But, I mean, look at the Vikings. They did all this. They put so much time and effort. And then their guy, Eric Sugarman, he ends up getting the COVID. So there is, as much as you want to say, okay, we got all this stuff in place. We have this guy, spearheading it, and then he gets it. How do you prepare for that?
Hey, Jay, how does this change your schedule? I mean, I know I was telling Pat before you came on, you'd be riding in the head coach's car, whatever team I'm on. You have such a tight relationship with these guys. You're all over the locker room. You would travel around all over the place. Are you still going to be able to have that access remotely? And for not only yourself, but the rest of the media, like, how are they going to handle this year?
I'm not going to go on my training camp tour this year, which sucks. I'd really look forward to it.
Give
me that bus. Right, Pat? Remember that bus I had? Fox,
Yeah,
give me that
awesome.
bus. I take my little rescue pit with me. It was awesome. I had so much fun doing that. I'm not going to do it this year because it's just so many protocols I have to, go through to get into each facility. So I'm going to do a lot of what you guys are doing. We're doing a ton of FaceTime, a lot of, some Zoom, a lot of phone calls. I'm going to have to put in the same amount of work. It's just going to have to be virtually. I got to adapt, man. I got no choice, right? We can't. Here's the bottom line. We will get through this because we got no other choice. That's our only freaking choice to get through this. So whatever we have to do to adapt, we can't sit and bitch about it and say, oh, my God, all these things. There's so much change. That's not going to serve me or anybody else any purpose. We've just got to roll with it and adapt as fast as we can and somehow make it work for us better than it has in the past.
I don't know if it'll be better than it was in the past. So I don't want you to have that expectation.
But I gotta make it that way.
I like that you're doing that.
I gotta play games in my own head. I gotta make it that way.
Hey, however you got to frame it, Jay, it'll always work out. It'll work out because it always has to, literally, because we're just living this life. So it'll always work out. Let's talk about the Patriots organization here. And I think that something is up here. Now, I'm not the only person. There's been people that have been saying, hey, what does Bill Belichick know about the rules of contracts during this opt-out thing? How is he doubling his salary cap maybe if these guys opt out? Is he telling people to opt out? Is there any truth to that narrative that Bill Belichick and Ernie Adams are puppeteering this entire opt-out thing to make their team in a much better position than they were just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, they got cameras and other guys, COVID testing centers. And I think you got as many conspiracy theories with the Patriots on this as you do with, the government on this. But, man, if they're going to have guys opt out, I don't think it's going to be guys like Hightower. So it's, or their starting tackle. I don't know what's going on over there because I'm looking at also because whenever it comes to the Patriots, you don't want to discount anything. You definitely don't. But I don't think there's any hidden rule here that Belichick's going, hey, look, if it is, Vrabel will pick up on it pretty quick. And you'll see a bunch of Titans doing the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think the Patriots do if they have this cap space? Do you see them going out there and looking at guys? We had Mike Lombardi on yesterday, and he said, like, Clowney is not a fit for the Patriots. Yeah. But what about a guy like Clay Matthews? Why wouldn't Belichick try to bring him in?
Yeah, but you don't need a lot of cap space for guys like that. You know what I mean? You can go after a guy like Clay's just, they're not going to be huge money guys. There's a couple of guys out there on the street you're able to do that to. But usually when you free up cap space, it's to, make splashes. They make splashes the other way. They don't go out and make big trades and bring people in. They're usually the ones trading, doing crazy things like trading Chandler Jones and not missing a step. They're not the one, or when they traded Randy Moss to Minnesota, they're not the ones who go out there normally and pull a Jamal Adams type of trade.
Well, they did sign Cam Newton for $1 million out of nowhere. 86 days he was unemployed, which, by the way, is exactly to your point about a splash the opposite direction as opposed to dumping money. They actually somehow spend less money than every quarterback the Cowboys have on the roster for their starting quarterback somehow. I don't know how that works. Yes. Let's go to your quarantine, Jay. We have to talk about it. You put a 48-hour teaser up, okay, on breaking news. Is that a situation where you thought it was going to be bigger news than it was? Or is that a situation where people were being disrespectful and they shouldn't have been disrespectful to you?
People be disrespectful to me. I can care less. No, look, I regret how it went down. I regret how it happened, without a doubt. But it wasn't, I said something because you and I were talking that day, and I was like, and I texted you. I'm like, no, it's not this. It's not that. The way my words came out were completely wrong. I wish I went on, look, I always say I don't work for Twitter. I wish I went on Twitter earlier that day, though, and I was like, guys, I wish I said to the world what I said to you. It's no. When I said it was a big news story, a national news story, I meant news, like national news. And, again, but Brian and I decided we're going to do it for the show and for the Fox show, so it's not like I was going to reveal it on Twitter. But if I had to do it over again, I'd say, oh, my God, this is getting out of control. It's going to look bad on him. For sure it'll look bad on us. It's going to, really upset the nation out there. So, man, let me just tell everybody what it is. It got away from it. I regret it. I definitely regret it. I wish it didn't happen that way. But what happened was the night before I went on a radio show, and the guys were laughing about what I had the next day. So I was like, no, guys, it's serious. It's a national news story. It's serious. When I said it's serious, I meant it's serious, right? Dude, that's COVID. It's serious. But it came across like, no, this is really serious, huge breaking news. And, man, it just, the whole thing got away. And at one point during the day, I'm like, oh, this is getting out of control. This ain't gonna go over well. And I was trying to get in touch with people like, man, maybe we should just release it. And by that time, I was actually getting ready for an MVP session. So I'm like, crap, man, I'll just I started diving into some other stuff with our vets. And, like I said, it just kind of got away from me there. But, man, I wish it didn't happen that way. If I had COVID, I'd let Brian Allen break it on me.
Hey, you're going to get got every once in a while, Jay. That's the business. And the fact, by the way, that not only you owned it but moved on, all the work you've done outside of football reporting. I mean, that's just going to be a glitch in the matrix. No big deal. No big. I mean, Rappaport dunking on you the next day with Von Miller, kind of rude, but I will say I'm happy you owned it there.
I was texting you that day. You were like, "What is it? What is it?" I'm like, "Nah, dude, it's not. It's not. It's not what everybody thinks, man. It's not what everybody thinks." And like I said, I wish I was able to come out and kind of. I wish we could have shared our text with the whole world so we didn't have this situation. I felt bad for Brian because he was kind of getting crapped on as if he wasn't a big enough name. Like, that was part of it also. But what I wish people would have got missed. Back then, like, Brian didn't even understand what the symptoms meant. So I was trying to use it to shed light on what the symptoms were, trying to do something good, but it ended up being bad because of the way I handled it.
Jay, does it make you hesitant next time you have some big breaking news that you're just going to dump it and you're not going to hype it up?
Nope, not at all. when it comes to COVID, yeah. But if I got something that I have to wait, so you guys have to understand. I worked for Fox NFL Sunday. I worked for TV shows. So this has happened every year in my career. I have to wait for Sunday to break stuff. I can't break it Thursday or Friday. And I've lost so many stories by having to wait for Fox NFL Sunday. That's my job. That's what I have to do. And a lot of them, thank God, man, they've held, which is great. So, the problem is, A, you lose those stories half the time. B, even my own guys will be like, "Oh my God, how you get my guys at Fox?" They're like, "You're crazy. We don't know how you do this. How you sitting?" And I've lost a ton of those stories, man, just because I have no choice but to wait till Sunday. So it's still my deal. Now, if I get something on a Monday and I know it's not going to wait, will I do it? Yeah. The only reason I didn't do it then is because we agreed we're doing something for the show. I didn't say, "Hey, Brian," and he's like, "Oh, let's put it out on Twitter." When it came to something like that, I wanted to honor where we decide we were going to do it.
Jay, let's talk about your show. Has there been conversations about how the show will go this year? Because that show is obviously, I've gotten a chance to see that set. I got a tour with a bunch of other people that won a contest to get a chance to go in there. I've seen it. You guys are all there's a big family atmosphere. It's a big family group. Have you guys been figuring out how you're going to go about doing the show? And as a follow-up, I'll let you kind of go on this run a little bit. Since Fox NFL Sunday is not happening this Sunday, if you want to break any news, you can do that now.
Oh, I'd love to. Pat McAfee is no, forget it. I'm not going to do it. I was going to make a wedding joke, but I can't do it. I was
Don't put that bat out there.
10 months right here, this guy. Hey, between all of us on Fox NFL Sunday, they have 6 Super Bowl rings, and we have 28 weddings. So we're not really good at it. By the way, have Kurt Menefee on one time and ask him about my best man speech at his wedding. Oh. The worst best man speech in the history of life. Oh, no, man. No, I left the wedding. It was awful. It was awful. I napalmed the wedding. I made a couple jokes that I didn't realize that ended up being true. I had no idea.
Oh,
and
jeez.
Howie Long is filming it, and he's like, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, "What is?" It's not the worst thing I've ever said. And it didn't end up going great, man. But we recovered. That's what brothers do.
Hey, Jay, we first off, I think we need some video. You need to release that video. That'd be breaking news. If we
Howie Long got it. Howie Long has it on his phone.
Oh. All right. Well, we'll put Howie on notice. Hope we get him on the show. Maybe he plays it for us. But last question from me. I know we got to get to a break here in a second. But hey, Khabib, Justin Gaethje, how excited are you? October 24th. That fight's actually happened.
Yeah. Well, shoot, I work for Bellator, so I'm excited about our fights this week.
I know you're working for Bellator, but you're an MMA enthusiast.
Khabib is, man, his double leg takedown, dude, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he could shoot across the highway for you and take you down. So, that's the thing. If Gaethje can stay on his feet, sure, he can get him. But, man, I've never seen anybody be able to stay on their feet. People stay on their feet with Khabib because he decides to let them stay on their feet. Otherwise, he's going to do whatever he damn well pleases with you. Hey, Pat, by the way, what you said about Fox NFL Sunday.
Good elbow.
I just talked to our producer, Bill Richards, about the other day. We're still figuring it out because what's great about us is obviously we are a family. We go on that show, man. We don't rehearse. We don't meet. We have one little meeting where we kind of talk about stuff. We have a fake rehearsal, and then we just go. It's we're each other's family. We're best mans at each other's wedding, godfathers of our kids, and it's special and different. I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet because obviously we can't have all of us together on the football field or all of us together on a desk. We got to keep our chemistry. I'm sure we can keep our chemistry yelling across the room at each other, but that's still something that they're working out. Like I said, I think nothing is normal anymore. So somehow we're going to have to make our new normal just as good as our old normal.
Well, good luck with that, Jay. We appreciate you joining us. Can't wait to see
Love you
what
guys.
news you break next. We can't thank you enough. And hopefully you haven't drank all of those bottles of wine that are just sitting right behind you there.
You like that, right? I'm a big cork dork, man.
A cork dork?
Cork dork.
Wow, I love that. I like the throttle bottles, but I'm not that much of a cork dork. I respect everything you got going on. Ladies and gentlemen, your insider from Fox and Bellator. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Glazer. Thank you, Jay.
Good seeing you, boys. See you, AJ. Good seeing you, man. See you, Pat.
Thanks, Jay.
See you, buddy.
All right, if you want to throw to a break here, we'll fade away to a different screen, Pat.
I think we're already in.
No, we are in a break, but if you just want to.
We're in a break?
Yeah, it came out of nowhere at 47.
What the fuck have you guys been doing back here?
I couldn't tell you.
I've been looking around this room. I have no clocks anywhere around me right now. So the only one is on my phone, and since I'm on FaceTime, it won't pop up for whatever reason. I enjoyed talking to Jay. You could tell there was some nights there after that Brian Allen news that broke where he was not thrilled to be Jay Glazer, I bet.
Yeah, it's real nice that he showed, big regret just because obviously it didn't turn out how he wanted it to.
Would you ever do something like that in your life, show regret?
Would I ever do anything like that? I don't even know how to spell regret, so no.
AJ Hawk, fun fact.
Oh,
AJ
yeah.
once. What's on your dry erase board back here, Connor?
AJ Hawk, fun fact. AJ once left a liquor store carrying 10 cases of Busch Heavy beer.
Is that true?
Yeah. It's on Wikipedia. He's muted. You're muted,
He's
AJ.
muted. He can't fucking unmute himself, but he can carry 10 cases of Busch.
Yeah, it's a ton of cases. Think about that. 5 an arm. Sweet Jesus.
That's a
Am I
record
still
of some
muted?
sort. I mean,
No,
that
you're
has
good.
to-
You're good
you're
now.
still muted, AJ. I mean, you're still muted.
No, he's good.
No, I'm good. I think I'm good. I was just talking to Jay on the FaceTime that we've stayed on, and I was trying to explain to him what was going on because he was just standing there staring at the camera, and it was just me and him. I was like, hey, man, I think the radio show went to break, but the YouTube's still live. I'm not really sure what we're doing here. And then luckily I got a notification
You're in no
from
man's
Vito
land.
telling me to join this.
Hey, that's a Zito production, baby.
Hey, he felt terrible about that Brian Allen reaction, and it was obvious. I kind of feel terrible for bringing it up.
Feel bad for Brian Allen, too.
I don't.
I mean, I
but
think he was.
I understand what you're saying.
I
We're
think
coming
he was
back in a
more
minute,
upset that
guys.
I mentioned a UFC fight and not a Bellator fight.
Yeah, what was that all about? Because he does work for Bellator, so I guess we have to get that plug. He had to be on him, but he is like the guy that started introducing MMA training to football players.
Yeah, and I mean, believe me, I know. I see him on the desk of Bellator. I knew he had a Bellator shirt on, but I think you're free to talk about all MMA, not just the one company you work for.
Does Bellator really think they're going to compete with UFC, by the way? No.
They can't.
I mean, they know they can't overtake them, but they want a chunk of the pie. And Bellator is backed by Viacom. Viacom has endless money, so they can throw some.
Oh, Anderson Silva.
Did you see that, dog?
I didn't see it. Do it again.
Exactly. That's what's going to fucking happen. You know what I mean?
10 seconds, we're back.
Are you threatening
I'm
me?
sorry. We're almost back.
5, 4,
I'll bring us back,
3,
Pat.
2, 1.
Thank you, AJ.
Welcome back, all the radio listeners. Hopefully you were tuning in on YouTube to follow our the end of our interview with Jay Glazer. This is the Pat McAfee Show. I'm AJ Hawk sitting in for him. We have a few minutes left. Pat is still with us from his hotel room in Pittsburgh. Pretty spacious hotel room. For some reason, he's been laying on his stomach staring into the camera all day. He doesn't know how to say
Oh, my God.
But he is currently trying some form of karate, it looks like, on his bed. What's up, Pat?
What's going on, AJ? Thanks for having me. Thanks for hosting. You've done a fantastic job. Can't thank you enough for stepping up here with the boys. I'll be back in studio tomorrow, so go ahead and take some time off, maybe hang out with the kids. But thank you for everything that you've done. And what a wild time to be in sports, huh, AJ?
What a wild time it is. We're doing McAfee and Hawk tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah. Let's do it.
What time's our heart out, Z?
We have a minute left, boys.
1 minute, Pat. What do you got? 1 minute. What do you have? Some inspirational words for the audience?
Sometimes when you're waiting for a private plane 4 hours, 5 hours to fly you to get your tuxedo perfectly altered for the wedding that you're going to have this weekend to marry the love of your life, you have these deep conversations with yourself. You say, hey, Pat, how did we get here? Hey, Pat, why are we here? Hey, Pat, why do you keep saying your name whenever you say hey to yourself? And the reason is because at some points you have to look in the mirror, you have to look inside and say, what are we going to do with our lives today that make us better than
20
yesterday?
seconds.
Today, for instance, I decided to roundhouse karate kick a pillow or two. I decided to talk to Jay Glazer. I got to talk to AJ Hawk, and I had the mindset that
seconds.
today is better than yesterday, and tomorrow
Five,
will be better than today.
four,
So whenever you look
three,
in that mirror and you see
two,
that home plate
one.
looking face,
Thanks,
I
guys.
want you
Pat
to
McAfee
tell
Show.
your what?
We just ended. Radio just went to break. We're done.
I
I
thought
was trying
had
not
it.
to cut you off,
I thought I
Pat.
had
I'm
it.
sorry. I was trying
I
not
had
to
it.
cut you off. I figured it's your show. You know when your heart out is. You've been doing the show for 2 years. Apparently, you do not know.
Doesn't have a clock, AJ.
I don't have a fucking clock, AJ.
Okay,
Jesus
let's
Christ.
scan that. How about you scan that hotel room? I'm guessing there's a clock somewhere.
I did. I just looked, but it's actually it's off though. Right over there, because I unplugged it to plug in my phone.
For the show that you were
I
supposed to
believe it.
host today, AJ.
I believe you. Well, yeah. So your radio show is off right now, Pat. It's just the YouTube stream, and you did leave us with a pretty inspirational chat.
I was just getting going though. The home plate
yeah.
face was just starting. You know, like I don't know where I was headed. I don't know what the last chapter of that was going to be, but I was excited to get there just like everybody else was, I'd assume. And I'd say, there it is right there, bingo. AJ, you got to admit, it kind of does look like your face.
Seriously.
Yeah, I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to understand a little bit.
The hair, especially.
All right. I'm done with this show. This show's pissed.
Yeah, Pat, thank you for joining your own show today. I've had fun the last few days. I know you said at 11:22 you had to go. It's currently 11:55. Thank you for staying with us. I don't know what you delayed, what was going on. Maybe you have another private jet delay. That's the only reason you were able to stay with us. But thank you for coming on the show today. I appreciate you.
No, I just wanted you to kind of sink out there with just Jay Glazer.
I mean, it would have actually gone much easier if it was just me, because we wouldn't have the back and forth that I'm getting in my ear that we're going to a radio break, but we're staying on YouTube. All this situation's happening. I don't want to cut Jay off and say, hey, we got radio's going to break, guys. But continue your great chat. Like, I wasn't going to do that.
Welcome to the jungle.
That's
AJ.
show business, baby.
Yeah.
What have you
Welcome.
learned? Have you learned that I make it look incredibly easy? Is that what you've learned?
Yeah, you're great at what you do. I'm not saying you're not. You're
just-
amazing at what you do. It's just in studio is a lot different. When you're in studio, you know when you're going to break. I don't want to be rude and cut people off and make it just for the radio listeners.
Well, you don't have a clock in there? You don't have a clock to look at the time? Is that what it is?
Oh,
The
I know
internal
exactly what
shot
time
clock,
it
too.
is.
You gotta
I
have
know
it in
when the
there. You gotta
breaks are
set 'em
supposed
up
to
for a
happen,
question that
Pat.
you know is not going to carry them all the way to the break.
What'd you say?
This show stinks.
That's the problem. You haven't figured out that when we talk at the same time, it mutes me, and I can't hear what you're saying.
Well, I'm on a FaceTime too from outside, so it's not just like picking and choosing. I mean, it's normally probably just going with whoever, but I want to let you know, I think you've done a great job the last couple of days.
Let's
I've
go.
enjoyed it. Now, the voices in your head telling you like, hey, we got to get to a break. Hey, we need this. We're in this. Maybe throw it to YouTube so we can promote that a little bit because they're watching as well. So let's remember them. That stuff is all things that you'll be able to deal with. But I think you've done a really good job. 100% serious. It makes no sense to me why you don't have a job at one of those main networks, but I'm sure fucking excited that they haven't hired you.
Yeah! Attaboy, AJ Hawk! AJ Hawk! AJ Hawk! AJ Hawk! AJ Hawk! Woo!
Attaboy, Nick. Get that last one in there.
Had to. He
Good.
deserved
Appreciate you, Pat. It's all. Hey, this is what I have the most fun doing. That's a big reason. This,
You know, I
what
thought
me
about
and you
this.
do.
I forget who I was talking to about it within the last 24 hours. So it's somebody either at the hotel or somebody at the alteration place. But like when you go on ESPN or Fox, they've like established their network here for so long. They have rules, and if you break rules, you got to go through this person, this person, this person. Like this is my network, I guess. So like if somebody breaks the rules, do I have to handle it? Like I'm the one that has to be like, oh, you can't fucking say that. Like, is that what I'm supposed to do? Is that, and if we continue to grow here, which we're going to try to do, obviously, we're going to try to add shows. I don't think I'm going to add people to the office because I just don't know. Making somebody move to Indianapolis to create content would be weird, but I think we're going to continue to add shows to this channel, like, because I'd like to be live throughout the day. Because I think, you know, I think we can offer an alternative sports option for people to cover. Now, we don't have highlights or anything like that. But when somebody fucks up on there, am I the person that's going to have to like do that? Like I'm the person that's going to have to be like, hey, on this network, we don't do that. Like, is that what I'm going to have to do? Because I feel like that is potentially a weakness of mine, telling people you can't say something or do something.
Well, that's the tough part about being the boss. You're going to have to make the tough decisions eventually. And, you know, like you're already huge in what you do and your channel and everything that you've built. But if you do take on more things, you take on more people, someone's going to come on and say something on a show on your network where you're going to have to publicly condemn them and be pressured to fire the person.
By the way, I am huge. You're right.
Boys, we have great breaking news.
Here we go.
Positive breaking news that for the second straight day in a row, no one on the Phillies has tested positive for COVID-19.
Here we go. Yeah.
Let's play ball.
They were basically dancing with death there with the Marlins there. Whenever the Marlins had 75 people get COVID-19, the Phillies somehow playing on the same diamond with the same ball in the same park at the same time as a team that was having a COVID-19 outbreak manages to have none. Shout out to the Phillies. Shout out to COVID-19 deciding that they don't want to infect Philadelphia Phillies locker room or dugout. It sucks for the Marlins that they continue to be the only team that has anything go wrong. This is positive, though. This is good stuff. This means if you're around COVID-19, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to have it. That's good news for the NFL. And by the way, that's good news for the world, baby. Here we go.
Come on.
The world.
Come on now.
Here we go. This show is over, Pat. What do you got next today?
I got to go pick up my thing, the whole thing. So the next time I leave this hotel, I will see my entire tux in its entirety for the first time.
Good for you. Well, I know I'll be talking to you tomorrow, but hope everything's going well. Hopefully Sam isn't too stressed out. Maybe you're taking a few things off her plate. I know she has enough to deal with already. I hope you're pulling your weight.
I'm not. I've noticed that whenever the other night, she was going through like a checklist of all the shit, you know? And I had no idea what any of it was. Like 70% of it, I had no idea what was going on. Like with the details, the finer details that she's put together here are just the napkins, the fucking everything. It's like, it's insane. And then we went through pictures of our grandparents the other day because there's going to be pictures of people we wish were there and stuff like that. It got real emotional. Jay, have you seen pictures of Dad's mom?
Yeah, it's been a little while, but I've seen a few.
See, I don't think I've seen them maybe I saw them when I was a kid, but there's like 10 pictures of my dad's mom, and my dad's mom passed away when my dad was 17. So my mom never even met her. And then there was pictures of my dad's mom's mom and dad. So like I got a chance to like see like Ancestry.com basically the last couple of days because Sam has collected all of this. So it's like it's been a really cool emotional last couple of days, but Sam's been the MVP by far, and I just hope she says yes or whatever on Saturday, because if she decides to say no, I mean I would like to tell her now because she's probably watching, like, you wasted a lot of work, so like just think about saying yes, you know, that'd be cool.
Well, I think it's a safe bet she will say yes. Planning a wedding by yourself, which is what she has been doing pretty much, is already enough adversity and so much difficulties. Three different weddings, different locations. But then you got to finalize everything during COVID and follow protocols and do all that and try to figure all those things out. I mean, I don't know. That's more than a full-time job. That's brutal. So credit to her.
She's a badass. I'm very lucky. The things that she's very good at, I stink at. Emotions, caring, putting things together, stuff like that, I am not good at all. She's the perfect yin to my yang, and it all comes to be on Saturday, and hopefully my tux fits, and hopefully it looks good. Hopefully. We'll see. Fucking Mitt, what's going on, dog?
Jeez. Nice
Oh,
wave.
boy. Yeah, you look pretty good, dude.
It's off, man.
Is college football happening?
You
alcoholic.
Such a bag of bones. You should have seen him stumbling in this morning. I thought he was going to throw up before we came in here.
He looked sober, I thought.
Sober.
No, it's because, he did something before he came in here.
Whoa.
Oh, you smoked vitamins.
Not true.
Cocaine.
A couple smelling salts as well. I mean, the kid is off his rocker today.
Wait, you're not, by the way. Look at you. You're
I feel good today. This is like the best I felt in like 3 days.
Yeah, all the Patriots quit. Feel good.
No, it's just because we already knew it, and now we have so much cap space. We're gonna bring back probably Talib, Logan Ryan, bring in Everson Griffin, and we might as well go get Timmy Jernigan too. If we don't have linebackers, let's just get the D line stacked up. We'll be fine.
Hey, Fairy Tale Land, who cares? Patriots are still good even though other players aren't playing. Let's go.
Hey,
Somehow, some way, Bill Belichick's going to make it work. AJ, you're the greatest. I got to go do my thing. Thank you for covering my ass here the last couple of days.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you guys back in the studio, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
See you, boys.
See ya. Safe travels.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Ty, thanks. Did
Yeah,
AJ just hang up?
Yeah,
he was done.
Yeah.
You got minimized.
Hey,
here.
boys.
There you go.
Hey, Ty.
Yeah.
The pilot we had was one of your favorites.
Yeah. Captain Boozebag, I heard.
Yeah. As soon as he walked. Now, granted, I mean, the traveling was a fucking nightmare. But when he walked in, I knew we were okay. And I was pretty pumped that there's still the rule that I will not get on a plane with you because I knew your reaction to him flying us would have been a bit negative, and we didn't need that 4 hours into that thing.
Well, I would have been more concerned about the fact you had that delay. There's a lot of mini fridges around there with ice cold beers in there that he could have found, I mean,
All right, I'll see you guys. I'll see you.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yep, later. Hey, everybody on YouTube, thank you so much. You're the greatest humans on earth. If you enjoy this show, please tell somebody else. If you don't, just act like it never fucking happened. All right, cheers.
See you guys.